Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the beginning of the Halloween Leogs. This episode is a Vertigo episode. The long... fuck it. It's the
Okay, I was
Vertigo
going to
episode.
say.
You seem to have some kind of strange new palsy. Would you like us to get some Geritol for you? Maybe
Please,
even that out?
Please, and hopefully some morphine. No,
I was
this is...
man, this is the Cyrus has a stroke episode.
Yes, the spooky Cyrus doesn't
Oh, so
really
strokes
translate.
make you mentally retarded? I wasn't aware of that.
The spooky stroke victim.
Where's Cyrus? Where's Cyrus? I want to go back up there.
If anyone was going to make a slasher movie with like a stroke victim as the
Oh
killer,
my god, I'm
going
going
to
to make a slasher movie starring only stroke victims and mentally retarded people.
See, I think
And
you got
now
something
it's
there.
time for the new episode of Apples!
Indeed.
I want a corn dog.
But yes, this is Leog. This is the beginning of probably maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 Halloween-themed episodes. But this one is Halloween comics, not horror comics in general. Nope, that podcast is lost to the wind.
Doesn't mean we can't recreate it.
Maybe not this Halloween, but maybe next time. You know, you don't want to jinx it, right? This time we're talking about DC's sideline publication Vertigo, which is where books like The Swamp Thing, Sandman,
For all the spooky
Hellblazer,
crap
Preacher.
that doesn't...
Preacher.
all the spooky adult crap that can't happen in the mainline DC universe occurs.
Yeah,
It's-
even though it crosses over sometimes a little bit.
Well, it's funny because
Yeah.
y'all keep linking it to horror and Halloween, and Vertigo started out kind of with a horror base, but I never think of it. I never associate it with horror anymore.
No?
I mean it's more the Avatar comics.
So, I mean, they still.
Yeah.
It's funny that actually lately several of the new titles seem to be going back.
Is that
to
right? Because maybe I'm
Again,
just not
Yeah.
up on all the new
No,
stuff.
there's some
House,
of
of,
the-
House of Mystery.
House of Mystery,
definitely.
Madame
Yeah,
Xanadu,
Madame Xanadu.
are all
Unwritten.
tying
I
into
wouldn't
the.
consider them horror, though.
Well, they're
You wouldn't
tying
consider
into,
House of Mystery horror?
I don't know. I
No?
mean, no, honestly,
Mystery.
I'm with Grant. Wait, did I just say that?
Yeah, you did.
Mark this day, Leog fans.
I mean, the first, I only read like the first 5 or 6 issues of the Matt Sturgis penned House of Mysteries, and they weren't really horror. They were just like that one segment, that one collection of Sandman,
Yeah.
where they were all in the House of Mystery, and
Yeah.
it was all kind of weird, freaky
well,
anthology.
it changes. So
Yeah,
thing is-
Jason doesn't think it's horror because there's nobody getting stabbed or having
Wait a
their
minute, I-
eyes gouged out by a demon.
I mean, in that book, don't they like cut each other up with axes every issue?
No.
Don't they? Don't Cain and Abel killing?
No, that
was the
old
original,
thing. They're not in
but
there.
they
Yeah.
really didn't even do that much.
No, okay. To be fair, you guys do have a point. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not set up like the old EC comics where it's like, oh, here's a series of horror tales the way we're used to seeing them. This is just a very dark universe with lots of horrific elements to it.
Yeah.
That's not at all like your normal comic book universe we're used to. There's magic is everywhere and wizards and all sorts of stuff.
It came about more than anything else to explore adult themes, and basically it came together when Alan Moore started doing the Swamp Thing, and they were like, wow, this is really good, this is really good, this is really good. Oh, wow, you've got a plant fucking a human woman. We're going to have to start a whole new line for you, Al.
Yeah, because
We'll call it Vertigo, because everything's topsy-turvy.
you can't make him stop doing it.
Yeah,
But at the same time,
Come on.
they're like, really, I don't think Superman's going to be making another appearance at this point.
Let's give some credit to Sam Raimi as the pioneer of plants fucking human women. Okay.
Well, yeah.
I would have thought that would have went to the Japanese.
Yeah, the Japanese probably have a longer and
Well,
loving history. But of course, they make everything fuck women.
Wait. When did Sam Raimi do that?
And
Evil
both
Dead.
First Evil Dead.
First Evil Dead,
Tree rape.
the tree does in fact rape the woman. In the second
Oh.
one, it tries but fails.
Okay,
you know,
I've
a
only seen the
tree-
second one.
Tree rape that's a harsh term. I prefer surprise arboreal sex.
Well, you know, its bark is worse than its bite. So.
Oh.
I know, thank you, and that's a great leaping off point to do the introductions.
Can I swab out my brain with a bleach?
I
I
am
ask him to leave.
I am Satan, your host, going around.
Point to Grant. Ouch.
Anchorman Leon here.
Harris.
I'm your storyteller, Bo.
I'm Kristen.
Jason.
And Grant.
Yes, and together we are the force to be reckoned with, the League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen.
Hear,
And,
hear.
and lady.
We're here to bore your girlfriends to death.
Yes, exactly. You go, what are you listening to, honey? The sports scores.
Why did you invite those guys?
We are here to bore your imaginary Canadian girlfriend to death, the one that you met at Niagara Falls, the one that's a model and actually reads X-Men on a regular basis.
We are the
Leave my
ultimate-
girlfriend out of this.
We are the ultimate deal breaker.
Yeah, even we don't believe you.
Yeah, for those of you who are fucking Snuffleupagus, this is your podcast.
He's so cuddly.
He does like to just,
And the
hold you
things
for a
he
while.
can do with that trunk.
Yeah. He is hung like a horse.
Or an elephant.
Actually,
Emma.
Yeah.
he's hung like a Snuffleupagus.
But unless we have some pressing business right before this, and we get so many complaints about not doing questions lately, the questions here are all so, they're all Vertigo questions.
True.
And there's no better way just to discuss Vertigo than just do
Ooh,
the questions.
Cyrus, I got an idea. No, I fuck what you about to say. How about we start out answering a couple of questions?
Wow, I hadn't thought of that.
See?
That's
That's why I'm
amazing.
here, to come up with these things.
Revolutionary.
I don't know what I would do without you, Leon.
Hey, man.
Wait, didn't Bo just whisper that to you?
It's the informed leading the mildly incapable leading the handicapped.
Because Bo would never take the initiative to just say it himself.
Honestly,
And when does Bo whisper?
I'm just like Guy Pearce in Memento. I have every Leog episode tattooed all over my flesh just so I can't forget.
What are you talking about? I'm whispering now.
I wasn't talking.
Yeah, do that and drink a glass
Oh,
of water at the
I-
same time.
I
I'll be impressed.
do want to say something here, and this is about the wish list stuff. I know we don't talk about this much, but lately somebody keeps sending me stuff, and they're not saying who they are. I mean, I put things on League Lounge, hey, please tell me who sent me this, and nobody's responding. So I don't know who it is. Please send me a direct message and let me know that you
And
sent me something.
I got one of
Oh,
those,
dude,
too.
that was me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to take credit for that.
I mean,
too.
you've been so great to me.
Yeah,
and,
like-
and I know, you're really good about paying people back when they do nice things for you. So I sent you all that stuff.
Yeah, somebody sent me a copy of Terror Train. I don't know who it was, but thank you very much.
That was me too.
That was you?
Yeah,
Awesome.
just want to say thank you for being a great friend.
If you don't use that little send a message
Nope.
with your thing, someone else will take credit for your gift.
Yeah.
Probably Leon.
And while we're on this note, guys, Leon, if you could grab that box and turn it over.
What? Oh, there's a box.
There's a couple boxes here.
What's in the box?
I was about to say who's going to be the first to make that
couple
joke.
of Listeners to the show, I don't know if you guys have heard of these guys,
Couple listeners.
but their names are Nikado and Zeke Slider.
Yeah.
Flip it over.
Oh, the
they,
Godfather.
they sound really familiar.
They are-
Oh.
It's already
Nikado
on.
and Zeke
They are legend.
They decided to send us.
a bottle of water.
There's my water.
It's still cold.
They decided to send us all something.
Really?
That
These
they
guys
sent
got
to my
together.
house.
They've never done that before.
They're teaming up on us.
Yes.
Wow, those guys
Oh,
are
yes,
generous
they
enough
are.
as it is without
And
dreaming up.
of the league.
Oh,
Yeah.
Check out
God damn
what
it,
they got
Grant!
us.
I asked you because you
Yeah,
told me about
because I
this.
didn't want to give it away.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
It was a surprise for
What's
you.
in the
Just a-
box?
It's
Lift it
Gwyneth
up.
Paltrow's uterus. Get
I
over
have had
it.
the biggest crush on Gwyneth Paltrow, and now my dreams have come true.
Zeke Slider
Has
and
sent us
Nikado.
to go along with Grant's fezzes that he bought us.
Oh my God.
They've sent us all satin smoking jackets.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Holy shit!
Includes the pipes.
Is there an
Sweet.
XXL in there?
I was
does
about to
include
say
the
I was
pipes.
going to buy a pipe, but
we
fuck
all
that,
have
we
smoking
get-
jackets?
and pipes.
Oh, yes.
It's a one size
smoking
fits all.
jackets
Wow.
and pipes.
Holy fucking balls. Do you know how long I've wanted a smoking jacket?
Me too.
That's amazing.
You don't even smoke?
And
Hey man,
Harris,
it comes with a pipe. I'm gonna start.
there's not one
smoking.
for you.
No.
Until you get your membership, you're missing out on all these goods.
Dude,
Yeah.
Leon, you should totally smoke a pipe, like a Sherlock Holmes.
But on that note, can you go get me a beer?
Blow me.
Look at that.
Wow.
Second
that's
to the last
impressive.
man on the
That's
totem
right.
pole flexing
That's,
his muscles.
that's impressive. Once again, Zeke Slider and Nikado have been
They go
by
ab-
far our most ardent supporters, and
They go above and beyond.
they go
Well, I mean,
above and
Our
beyond.
most ardent supporters as far as buying us shit goes. But
Yeah.
I mean, God bless them. But we also have badass supporters like Mr. Arebus, Dr. Detfink.
Oh, sure.
We
Hey,
can
bow
hear all
and
my
arrow. We
listing
can be
out.
here all night.
Wait.
Yeah.
I have
Thanking
someone to also say.
What?
What?
Oh, yeah, for God's sakes, Grant, shut the fuck
Grant.
up. Who nobody cares what you think.
Guys, I will not shut the fuck up
Whoa!
because the
All right.
Wutsy Fingerhold bought me a megaphone.
Okay, that
Okay, so-
needs to be destroyed right
is some
now.
shit.
So
Shit
now
right
he's
here.
Grandimus Prime all of a sudden.
Okay, no more beer while I can see that.
I'm sorry.
And
all right.
suddenly Grant has a way of overcompensating.
Again.
Always.
But yes, thank you very much once again. That those guys are so continually awesome that it actually makes me feel like so guilty. I feel like my mother is Jewish. It's just amazing.
Hype is awesome.
No. I mean, these guys have been, forget the gifts and all. I mean, not that we're forgetting the gifts, but
No.
just morally, they've been such great supporters and fans. I mean, almost everybody has.
Yeah.
Except for Raiders.
Except who turned out to be Flesh Eater.
Raiders is Flesh
Raiders
Eater?
was Mr. Flesh Eater the whole time.
All right.
Wait,
okay.
What?
Who the hell
Is he gone?
Shocking
You missed
twist.
it already? There was
Yeah.
a new guy who was just popping up everywhere and being, a dick like Flesh Eater was. And sure enough, he turned out to be Flesh
How did you guys
Eater.
figure out he was Flesh Eater?
Well, for one thing, he posted after he was banned, his next account was Raiders, aka Mr. Flesh Eater.
Did he start every post with "No offense"? 'Cause that's a
Right.
dead giveaway.
Well, no, somebody actually sent me a message. By the way, that guy Raiders has already admitted to being actually Flesh Eater. I was like, and so that's what I was like, well, good. I was thinking about banning him anyway, so ban.
I didn't think Raiders had done anything ban-worthy, just being a dick.
He's like the fucking Candyman. Saying his name on the podcast just means that he's going to pop up again.
See, that's a horrible thought. Where does this guy live anywhere? There are 80 billion computers.
Georgia.
Georgia.
Is he?
He goes to school. I figured this out from point one. Be admitted. He goes to school at University of Georgia or something like that, or something.
Which they have 6 computers.
I mean, I have fun. I actually enjoy finding and banning the guy, so it's kind of a fun game for me.
Great. You're playing whack-a-mole with the troll.
Pretty much.
Whack-a-troll. That's
But
great.
at the same time, I feel bad because we're going to have no fans in Georgia because none of them, every time they try and get on spill.com, it'll say blocked.
No,
fuck Georgia.
Hey,
Fish is there.
Fish
Fuck
is there,
Nation.
and Fish needs to recruit, and he needs to root out this Flesh Eater guy and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, we got a mole, bitches.
So basically, both of our major trolls have come from Georgia. Thanks.
where's my
Another
smoking
great
Exports.
offering from a beautiful state.
So
Where's
we're-
my smoking jacket? I need a smoking
So we're
jacket.
counting on
So-
Fish for the violence? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, have you all seen Fish? That's not happening.
Well, and he can at least find him.
That's true. Yeah. he can hide really
He's
easily.
over there, guys.
I think the only proper way to wear these smoking jackets is only wear the smoking jacket. That's how I feel about it.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree, Kristen.
Yeah, you,
Like right now.
You are so correct.
you just get started on that.
No, we mean just Kristen.
Yeah, just Kristen. Come on. Nobody wants to see the rest of us.
Us? No, nobody wants to see that. Yeah, that's disgusting. I'm offended, quite frankly.
Oh, Jason. That was made for you.
Dapper.
Yeah, Jason looks like he was
Dapper.
always meant to be wearing
Damn,
a
dude, that
smoking
looks like
jacket.
somebody sent that to you.
We'll be sending them a picture
I
of
luckily
all
brought
of
my
us.
camera tonight. So.
Yeah, we'll definitely send them a picture of all of us except for Harris in our smoking
I was
jackets.
about to say, we're taking those fucking pictures tonight because this is the bomb.
Yeah, I'll be quietly crying in the corner.
I do have to kind of laugh how Grant in it looks like he's wearing his Gryffindor robes.
It does. Oh my god. We should totally. I'll get Mary to sew some Harry Potter crap on yours. Don't worry, Grant.
Oh, that would be awesome.
All right. Well, enough of the
All right,
smoking
enough of
jackets
that.
for now. Let's talk about the raison d'être, Vertigo, and let's just go right in with the first question somebody asked with the questions post
All right.
in the League Lounge. And by the way, folks, just so you know out there, I haven't said it for a while. If you want to ask a question, go to the group, the League Lounge on Spill, and then keep your eyes open in the forum for when it says questions for the
Right.
newest Leog, and then you'll know that that's where you do it.
And now everybody's kind of jumping on the Ask Everybody bandwagon, but our FAQs are still there, so don't be shy.
Sure, yeah. If you have something just for one of us, then go to the FAQ. If you have a question for all of us, and you don't care whether or not we say it on the podcast, Grant has a post in the forum that says "Ask the League" that you can ask.
Yeah,
anything.
here's to Grant for coming up with that.
No, I think it was Bo's idea, actually.
Yeah,
So
Grant
here's
just did the
Bo.
legwork.
I just put it up there.
All right,
the bow.
well,
Fuck
here's
Grant.
to whoever did it.
Here's the bow. Fuck Grant.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Woo! Shouldn't you have your megaphone for that?
Oh,
No, you shouldn't.
No, you
Just
shouldn't.
kidding.
I shouldn't use that.
But we're gonna dive right
Who
in
sent
here.
that to Grant?
That was the Wuxie finger hold.
Fail.
Thanks, Wutsy.
Hey, I just want to say
That's
thanks.
like
man.
the same guy who sent a Green Lantern ring to Nort.
I love it that you I got Leon all started on the fail thing now, because every time it's appropriate, I lean over and say it to him, and he cracks up laughing every time. Like we just saw Amelia, and spoiler alert, she dies. and like it's going to the end where you see like in the water getting closer and closer because the presumption is she died at sea or plane crashed in the ocean, and it fades to white, and I lean over to Leon and go, "Fade." Oh.
And the sad thing was, she was supposed to go on a cruise the next week on the Titanic.
Well, your timing's a little off, but still. Okay, the first question, and literally the first question was asked, is from Aaron, who says, of the many film adaptations of Vertigo comics, like A History of Violence, which I'm not sure, was that actually a Vertigo?
No, that was Paradox Press.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought so.
V for Vendetta, which was also not Vertigo. That was although I think they reprinted it.
There's a lot of things that have like retroactively been put into Vertigo.
Stardust, which I have no idea if it was or not.
It wasn't. Stardust was originally an illustrated novella.
Okay, and then The Fountain, which was, I guess, the illustrated version of the Darren Aronofsky film. Which one of them is your favorite and least favorite, and are there any other Vertigo comics that could make good movies? I already know what
it
Leon's
sounds like The Fountain is the only one that qualifies.
Well, assuming that's his actual list there, which Constantine is another one, because that's based on Hellblazer.
Okay, can I say fail on that one?
Can you say fail on that one, Constantine?
Constantine was a good movie.
I
thought it was cool.
I think it's okay.
I thought it was.
It was great for a Harry Dresden movie. In terms of Hellblazer, not so much.
No, that's right. If it had been a Dresden Files adaptation, I would have been like, this is pretty cool.
That's what I thought. Like, if it had been a movie of some other property, I'd have been like, man, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah. It was a watered down Hellblazer, but I still thought, and I've only read a couple of Hellblazer trades, honestly, and I've really liked what I've read. But seeing the movie and being able to completely divorce it from the original property, I thought it was fucking cool. Except for the fact that he chewed gum at the end instead of saying, "Shit, I'm cured of cancer now. Let me smoke some cigs."
Yeah, so other than the fact that it really didn't tie into the comic at all, you thought it was a good adaptation.
They took
not a good adaptation, a good movie.
They took maybe the third best Vertigo comic, depending on your opinion, really, one of the very best, though, one of the top tiers, and they took the very best storyline from that Vertigo comic, and they made it into a film that mildly resembled it at best.
Well, yeah, and how do you get like a guy who basically looks like Sting in a rumpled trench coat who smokes heavily and then
has an English accent
and has a heavy Cockney Liverpudlian accent,
which is an essential part of who he is.
And then arrive at let's ask Keanu Reeves to play this.
Well, at the very least, they were smart enough to go, no, don't try and do an accent. Dude.
I mean, they could have gotten James Marsters, and it would have been. If you want to get an American,
no, James Marster would have been the obvious choice.
Yeah.
I agree with
you.
Right,
but at a time like that, when depending on how much money they're investing, they aren't looking at how accurate can we be.
I understand.
No, I know you know that.
Keanu Reeves gets
no, I'm only saying this to anyone listening.
And
who
the
doesn't
funny
know.
thing is, when I saw, let me start off first here because this is the Vertigo episode. So just to say, Hellblazer is a comic written originally by Jamie Delano, but it got really famous with Garth Ennis, who became famous, even more famous later from writing Preacher. But it's the story of John Constantine, who is a magician who doesn't like all the bells and whistles. He just walks around with a trench coat, smokes a lot, and cusses everybody out.
He's kind of a grifter.
He's kind of a grifter, really. Yeah. But the whole thing is that when it comes down to it, magic is in his blood and in his bloodline, and his bloodline is fucking cursed. Pretty much anyone who gets close to him is gonna die in a really horrific fashion at one time or another. Except for maybe his cabbie friend, who, as far as I know, is still alive.
Chaz.
Shia LaBeouf.
Chaz is still alive. And in fact, he has had his own spin-off series.
Right, that's true. He did just recently.
The very fact that you would link that character to Shia LaBeouf is one of the reasons I say that.
Well, it's good. Even though we're kind of straying from the subject matter of the question, it's good that we're talking about Hellblazer. Hellblazer was the flagship for Vertigo, and arguably still is. It is the longest running title.
What are they on right now?
I do not know. They have
20 something. I think.
I know they're at least 20 trade paperbacks.
Yeah,
easily. The character started out in Swamp Thing during Alan Moore's run on it, and the character was actually invented by Alan Moore. And they
260 plus all the specials and shorts and stuff.
Okay.
They liked the character so much. He's one of those characters that kind of was invented to serve a specific purpose and then took on a life of its own. They gave him his own series. He's crossed over into Sandman. He's crossed over into a lot of the Vertigo titles, I believe.
And he's been ripped off a lot.
Yeah. And, he's basically, kind of a Philip Marlowe, pulp detective type. He just happens to be able to do magic.
Yeah.
And he's been written by some amazing people have gotten their starts on the Hellblazer line. Obviously, Garth Ennis is probably the most famous, but Brian Azzarello did a pretty long run on it as well.
Mike Carey.
Mike Carey.
Mike Carey's done good stuff. Warren Ellis had a great run on it as well,
Yes, he
including one story called Shoot, which got a certain amount of notoriety because it was directly addressing the Columbine shootings and then the Arkansas shooting immediately afterwards.
Really?
And that ended up being one of the first stories that DC ever yanked, just because they deemed it to be too controversial.
No kidding.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah.
It eventually made its way online with Ellis's tacit blessing. So if you go scour the internets, you'll be able to find it.
Speaking of Vertigo, they one of the first things they did actually yank was it was one of the it was not Alan Moore, but it was I believe the person who succeeded him on the run of
the Swamp Thing and Jesus,
where they were going to have him go back in time and meet Jesus, and the DC
Wow.
powers to be went we don't think so.
Yeah, bad.
Let's keep that in Ghost Rider.
And they screwed themselves out of a bunch of people were planning on doing some special stuff for the annual, like Neil Gaiman among them,
Who has written for the book before.
and he has written for the book before, and he ended up yanking his story. He was like, if you're not going to publish this, I'm not going to let you publish mine.
Lots of big names have come in to do specials
Sure.
and stuff. In fact, I was going to suggest to a lot of people a good starting off point, not just for Hellblazer, but for the early Vertigo universe, is a series Gaiman wrote called Books of Magic. And I'm not talking about the whole series. I'm talking about the original
That
four-issue
first miniseries he
miniseries.
did.
the one that ripped
the first
off Harry
trade
Potter?
paperback.
Yeah, the one that
No,
Harry Potter
Harry
was a total
Potter ripped
rip-off.
off.
Yeah, the first.
That's
trade
Grant
paperback
steaming in the
is
corner
awesome.
over there.
It also it brings in a lot of the Vertigo universe is populated by people that used to be featured either as hosts, like the EC Comics had the Crypt Keeper and the Old Witch. Well, DC had its own line of horror comics in the 60s and 70s, and it had its own series of hosts, like Cain and Abel, the Three Witches, what have you. And they've ended up kind of populating the DC universe, and in the Books of Magic, they bring a lot of their old, magical sorcerer characters, Baron what's his face, the
Baron Winter,
Baron Winter, the Phantom Stranger,
Dr. Occult,
Mr. E,
Mr.
who
E.
is they portray as this conservative dick,
Total psycho.
totally psycho.
And of course the classics. What's her name?
Zatanna.
Zatanna. It's a really incredibly well written and drawn book. I believe each book has a different artist.
One has Michael Zulli, one has Charles Vess. I'm trying to remember who the other two are, but they're
Rob Liefeld?
Bo.
No?
Fuck, what's his name? It's been so long. It's two guys. It's two brothers. It happens a lot with artists where there's two brothers who both paint and one's better than the other. Bo Hampton.
And that's it. That's Leog for this week.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
it's John Bolton,
Continue.
Scott Hampton, Charles
Yeah.
Vess,
Okay. Yeah. It's Bo Hampton and Scott Hampton.
Paul Johnson, and Peter Gross, who apparently did something.
Kristen
in
has
it.
something to say.
Bill Hampton was one of the people that hung out at SCAD a whole lot. And he
Oh, is that right?
Taught a few classes, so yeah, I've had many conversations with Bill Hampton.
Goddamn
Well, I can't
Georgia
remember
hippie.
which of the two brothers was the better painter.
Well, it is definitely a thing you want to see. You can get it.
Force heavy.
You can get it in trade paperback now. Look it up on Amazon or your local comic book store. It's one of those books that's amazing and will make you want to read like eight
And in
different
fact-
Swear to
titles.
God, I didn't pay attention to Harry Potter at first because I was like, let's rip off a Books of Magic. This is gonna get sued and go away.
That's actually my answer for what would make a good movie. I think that first trade paperback of Books of Magic would make an incredible movie. As far as my favorite adaptation that is made, I don't have one because it hasn't been made. As
it's
far
V
as I'm
for
concerned.
Vendetta.
Yeah, well, back
Was reprinted by Vertigo.
It was reprinted.
Yeah, it was originally from the
2000 AD, I thought.
2000 AD. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. As Bo brought up, Vertigo was really started by Alan Moore on Swamp Thing, like when he created John Constantine. It was a cross between the John Constantine and Grant Morrison Animal Man that really was what launched the whole Vertigo line. And once the whole Alan Moore experience worked out, and they brought over Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman, it became a whole like, hey, let's just make this Brit comics.
Yeah.
And from
Yeah,
that
they
point-
were the second wave of like famous British writers,
Right.
as I recall.
And from there, they start mining 2000 AD and Warrior Magazine. It's like, hey, let's get all these guys
And
over here.
Anybody who had so much as written a sentence in there, or even something in the letters page, was like, "Shit, I'm gonna go work for Vertigo."
And well, the thing is, Swamp Thing and Animal Man were originally not Vertigo comics, but now they've like
No.
kind of retroactively made them Vertigo
Along with
comics.
others, like Animal Man was another one that didn't start
Yeah.
as that type of character, but ended up becoming a Vertigo character.
One of my favorite stories ever is something we've brought up on Leogs in the past more than once, and it's a Hellblazer story of where it's the one where he's where John Constantine is dying of cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Dangerous Habits. Yeah.
Dangerous Habits, yes. I mean, honestly, if you are to read just about any comic book, period, up there with Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, et cetera, and Sandman and Preacher, Dangerous Habits is the one.
Well, that's a
to do it.
quintessential Constantine
Yeah.
like run still
It's got
even
some
today.
damn good
I mean,
payoffs.
the only reason I say that's not the best starting point is because there's a lot of references to stuff in it. I just reread it recently, and I'm like, wow, even I don't know what they're referring to because
Yeah.
I never read the entire original Jamie Delano run, and I was like, okay, I don't know who these characters are he keeps talking about.
But by the end,
There are a lot
you're
of-
invested enough
Yeah.
to where when he kicks over the table, to be vague about it, when he kicks over the table, you have this cathartic moment to where you're like, oh, fuck yeah, he got his ass.
There's
You
a
know?
really fun run right after that too that he did where it's sort of him fucking with the King of the Vampires. That's just awesome. It's like because he's a dick and he's a vampire.
That's got to
Constantine's
be
like,
a Garth Ennis thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
right after that, it's like it's where it ties because at the end of Dangerous Habits, the famous last shot is John Constantine flicking off Satan, and going fuck you, and you're like, okay, that was awesome. It builds and builds to this whole thing where at the very end, Satan can't do anything, right? Satan can't get John Constantine really, but he still manages to fuck him over. And the last shot of I think it was maybe even Garth Ennis' whole run is Satan flicking off John Constantine. I was like, that's awesome. Okay, well, let's move on to the next question from Mr. Arsenic, who says, Greetings, League of Extremely Ordinary Gentle People. Thank you for your PC response. I've just finished Preacher after you recommended it, thanks, and it was amazing. It seems to me that it's one of the quintessential Vertigo comics, so please just talk about it. Also, do you think there's any chance of Hollywood making a decent movie based on it? I personally only think it would work as a HBO series as long as Mark Steven Johnson isn't involved. Shudder.
As long as he's not even in the state where they're putting it
Yeah,
together.
they're not even as a consultant, anything. Yeah.
Man, you know what? Of all the Vertigo titles, Preacher is my absolute favorite. It's the one I would love to talk
Really?
about. But there's still people, there's still people who haven't read it, who okay, Jason, it kills me.
I know.
Like, Kristen, I can understand. I cut you some slack. Jason, you're so Texas. It kills me that you have not read this.
I know, yeah.
And I think about how it's going to be for you when you finally do. But it's people who responded on the question, on the post, who are still like, I'm in the middle of reading it, please don't spoil it. It's like, this came out 20 years ago.
I know, and I know that hurts you because your rule is always like the 10-year rule.
I know,
it's been more
but
than 10 years.
like this is one of those things. It's like the cameo in Zombieland, where it's like, man, it's so good. Like, people have been really good about not spoiling that because they like.
Look, Jesse
this is
Custer is Orson Welles' sled. Okay, there, I fucking said it.
No, I agree that this is the thing about Preacher is it's one long story.
It is.
It's not like a series of like set pieces, really, the way like Hellblazer is.
Right.
And mini stories. It's one long tale that comes to a serious, solid conclusion. I mean, it finishes decisively. And so yeah, I don't want to spoil all that, but let's just learn from what it's about.
Just talking in concept wise.
Yeah.
I mean, like
It'll never be made as a movie because the
could never
basic
do
plot is a man who's got the literal voice of God, who is he used to be a preacher. He's fallen from faith just because he lives in a small Texas town and he's dealing with the inherent hypocrisy of a lot of the Christians there who they go out and do their sinning and do horrible things, but they show up at church on Sunday and everybody's like, hey, we're here at church. You can't judge us anymore. We're good Christians. Yeehaw. And the very next day, suddenly his church explodes because the offspring of an angel and a devil shows up.
Yeah, it happens.
And then in South Texas, all the damn time. And he
So
quickly
Bo
finds
is in this comic.
Well,
is what
actually,
you're
no,
saying.
that's not really what happened, though, is it? Because that's like, okay, you have to go to the whole Genesis project, because it wasn't an offspring of an angel and a devil, right? It was a experiment in heaven to recreate
It wasn't an
God.
experiment. It was literally an angel and a devil saw each other. They fucked. Genesis is their kid.
Okay.
We're doing a little bit more than glossing over the subject matter at this point.
Yeah.
But that's also why it'll never make it as a movie.
There's a lot of theological ramifications to what is being said here, what's being dealt with. And I mean, you're basically dealing with a God that is getting into a metaphorical and occasionally literal fist fight with the Lord God fucking Jehovah.
Yeah, who is kind of a dick.
Who is portrayed as pretty much a royal dick.
Not like in real life.
Yes.
Yeah, not like in the Bible where he's so fair all the time.
Incredibly, mind-shatteringly, hilariously violent.
Hey, Satan, I got an idea. You know that Job guy who always worships me and is always great and nice and sweet? Let's fuck with him.
Oh my lord, I knew you would be true to me, despite all the horrors you have afflicted with me with. I knew that eventually things would come all right, and I would come to be by your side in heaven. Just let me know, why exactly were you doing all that? Oh, I made a bet with Satan. Oh,
It was a gentleman's wager. Yeah. $1.
It was the Dukes. It was the Dukes. It was the Dukes.
No, I'm sorry, Job. Seriously, we're done fucking with you. Go ahead. It's all right. You know what?
No,
You know what?
go on.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
hold on.
You know what? Relax.
Sorry about the huge,
go ahead.
painful carbuncles.
I just made a huge, a big, comfortable chair for you there. Take a seat. Take a seat. Well, all right. God damn it, God! I mean, damn.
Honestly, if you thought that there was controversy over The Last Temptation of Christ or, The Golden Compass, if this ever got made as a movie, you would see, the Catholic Defense League
Just explode.
Isn't this? I thought this was under development with Sam Mendes.
It
entirely
is,
possible.
but We'll believe it when we see it.
Yeah,
Even
when
Sam
it comes
Mendes
out,
has
it is
said, like,
it is
yeah,
all
don't-
about how God has abandoned heaven and hates us all.
Yeah.
This will never be made.
And a human who has himself lost faith in God, who becomes basically possessed by or possesses the spirit of this sort of new God, which is, as you said, the birth of a demon and an angel together.
Wait, new gods? Are we like Kirby new gods?
Well, no, not like Kirby New Gods, like a God that was built designed on some level by the angels because God has abdicated. They don't even know where he is, and they're like, well, we need something else to take charge.
I happen to think that Dogma is one of Kevin Smith's lesser films.
Here's
the thing.
Here's
Jason.
the
You can forget everything else they said about all this religious stuff. It's about a guy who's very Texan who travels around with an Irish vampire and his gun-toting girlfriend.
Well, I've read the first trade.
Here's
before they meet Cassidy.
Here's the basic nitty-gritty of all. This is all you need to know. If you have ever sat in a church, doesn't necessarily have to be your church, any church, and you have thought to yourself, I think this is bullshit, read fucking Preacher. Toot fucking sweet.
And if Leog is your church, we're not talking about that.
Yeah, no.
We're not talking about Leog now.
Because our word is gospel.
Yeah.
But
If this was church, you guys would send us fucking money.
I mean, this is, this
Instead of smoking
This
jacket
is the
pipes.
tool of comic books. They referenced Bill Hicks, for God's sakes. He's a character in it at one point. It's daring and groundbreaking and funny as hell.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. It's such a dark, violent sense of humor. And to me, religious issues aside, I just don't think they could ever pull it off because they could never get the sense of humor right.
Yeah.
They could never do the pacing. They could never get the jokes to make them what they're supposed to be.
No.
It would so go off the rails and be something it's not. Even if they made something good, it would not be
Yeah,
Preacher.
they're just parts of it that would never translate, no matter how they tried to do it. I mean, just the character of Arseface, or the fact that when Jesse Custer uses the voice of God and tells you to go fuck yourself,
How do you
you go fuck yourself.
See,
Yeah,
here's the
literally,
thing.
yeah.
And again, I've only read the first trade. What, Gone to Texas or
Yeah,
or whatever?
Gone to
Yeah.
Texas.
I've only read the first trade, but everyone tells me about Cassidy, and that's really what I want to see. in a vampire, because so many vampires are like, oh my god, the bleakness of life.
see,
and
He's
darkness.
so the opposite.
You'll love this though. There's a point in there where because he thinks he's the only vampire. He thinks there's none left. And there's a point he basically smells out another vampire. Like, oh my god, it's another vampire in New Orleans.
New
And
Orleans,
it's like,
yeah.
He's
Vampire
like, oh god,
capital.
I'm so excited. I'm meeting the vampire, and the vampire's totally this Anne Rice, vampire. Like,
He's
oh,
like, oh God, get a wanker, aren't you?
the line, you're a wanker.
I finally find another one after nearly 100 years, and it turns out to be you.
See, you watch like Underworld and all that shit and Twilight, and they're all so mopey and everything. I'd be like, dude, let's go fucking do some tequila.
Yeah.
You wanna play some Xbox?
Exactly. He's like, oh, I can live forever. Well, I can shoot all the heroin and drink all the Guinness I want. Yay!
Fuck yeah, that's what being a vampire's about.
As opposed to movies like The Breed, where all of a sudden the vampires are Jews.
Oh, whoa.
Damn.
No, I mean
Dear
literally.
Benai Brith, none of us has an address.
No, I mean literally. They even have characters talking about the final vampire solution where they're being loaded up on trains.
Once again, I'd like to state that the Leog commentary is just stated by each individual member and does not represent the entire.
We're not implying that Jews drink the blood of Christian children.
No,
all.
because that's entirely not kosher. But tasty. Well, you know what? We got another question here from Spider John, who is one of the people we love, and one of the first people. He is right. He says he's one of the first people to suggest a Vertigo episode, and he's right. He really was one of the first people to say.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Congratulations, you're officially the tallest midget.
Or the toughest Frenchman.
Napoleon!
Is there anyone we haven't insulted yet? I mean,
All right, what do you call 100 Frenchmen with their arms in the air? The army!
hey, quick, why did the French line the Champs-Élysées with trees? Because the Nazis wanted to march in the shade.
Damn, that's cold.
God, that is cold.
Again, I say fucking Napoleon! Hello!
All right.
Napoleon was Corsican, he doesn't count.
Well, Spider John says, I know for a fact there are two series that the League is not familiar with, or if someone is, they've only recently begun reading it, those being Scalped and The Unwritten. That said, what, if anything, does the League think about these books and where do you see them going? Okay, you did bust me. I read Scalped maybe a couple months ago, but we've never really talked about it.
Unwritten has got like 5 issues. Of course everybody's barely
I
begun
read the
reading
first
it.
3 issues of Unwritten today, and I was like, okay.
Randy could not be here tonight because he's playing Dungeons and fucking Dragons.
Don't
but
even get
he
me
asked
started with that.
that I specifically
nerd.
bring up the Unwritten and something else, which I'm not
Sweet
remembering
Tooth.
right now.
Sweet Tooth.
Yes,
Tooth.
that's what it is. But yeah, he specifically wanted me to bring up Unwritten. I have no fucking clue what Unwritten is, but Randy wanted me to
Okay,
give it.
I've read it.
Unwritten Is,
I read it.
It's Mike
I've read it
Carey.
since the beginning.
Okay, well then talk
Oh,
about
it's
it.
Mike Carey doing it, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
who's
really?
writing it? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's imagine like a universe where there's like a Harry Potter series that's enormously popular, much more so even than Harry Potter.
Well, this
but-
sounds like a good time for me to go get another beer.
no, you might actually like this. The guy who wrote it disappeared. Like no one knows what happened.
J.K.
to him.
Rowling basically disappeared.
Yeah, except he's a man.
Potter?
And the thing is, like,
Rowling.
there's this whole thing, like, he's always said it was always based on my son. Like, oh, yeah, it's all really based on him, to the point where even insinuating, like, he is this character in these books. Now, the son is a grown-up now, and he makes his living by going to conventions and signing autographs, but he's really cynical about all this stuff. Problem is it's starting to look like, like, he isn't like the person he thought he was, just a normal kid, that in fact that character from the book really was in fact him, and that on some level they crossed over to like this parallel dimension and he just doesn't remember any of it.
Yeah,
And it
either
deals
that
with
or
it in a-
he's adopted. And
Yeah.
they're still where the series is currently straddling the line between the two, where there's some weird magical stuff going on where people are able to read things out of or talk to books and get their answers from books, and they really went on a tangent where they explored the history of
If only we had
other-
something like a book that we could ask questions of, and it would give us answers. This would
Do
be
you
a
mean
much-
Dianetics?
Yeah. Anyhow,
Oh,
Come on,
They-
I'm sorry,
you guys
Grant.
know what it's like.
Were,
to, like,
were you telling your
give a plot
little,
synopsis.
Were you telling your little Green Lantern Batman R.I.P. story and I interrupted you?
Hang on,
this is a
here's
tough
Ruby
room.
Rocket.
Hey! I love the unwritten, man.
Hold on. Let Grant get his Harry Potter back on.
They delve into the history of other literary figures like Rudyard Kipling and Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain.
Sweet.
And it really weaves a different tale that talks about how, I guess
Well, it's about
a
how
group
fiction
of
has
operatives-
power.
Who?
Well, it's really about like how like fiction and stories have
Yeah.
power in
Yeah.
our world.
Well, this kid was
It's-
like raised by his father by like his father would tell him stories that were just where places in London were actually like the places where things were written. Like, oh, and Dickens wrote this here, and this is why he wrote this here.
And the
Books
house he
hadn't
grew
even
up in
read.
is the house where Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein.
right. And it
It's
seems
really
like all these
similar
things
to,
have power in their own.
Even what Fables was alluding
in
to?
Switzerland.
That by
No, that's
creating
where he grew up.
by
Oh, okay.
creating this mythos, these people are actually manifested as real beings, and these events really do take place, and they have this special magical aura about them. It's kind of rough to explain, but you guys should just read it right now. It's only
I don't
6
know.
issues in, and it's
You're
really
not really selling
really
me on it.
interesting.
I got a bunch of porn books from the 70s I'd like to live inside of. What do you think?
Yes.
Because
I'm asking
Cyrus
Grant-
loves Harry
I'm
Bush.
asking Grant for permission to live in a porn story. I'm disturbed to my core now.
Really, you want more girls to reject you?
As a slight aside, if any of you are really into the unwritten, there's a book series you might like called starts with The Eyre Affair, as in Jane Eyre, by Jasper Fforde, which covers not identical but similar territory. It's just
Dude,
more
he
of a
should have
comedy.
totally called that Air Force. That would have been so much more awesome.
Air Force One. I don't know, Harris. Sounds kind of gay.
The other book he asked for, the other book he asked about was Scalped, which is a really good book written by Jason Aaron, and it.
But it's Jason Aaron's writing a ton of stuff now.
Is he? I wasn't. I didn't. I'm not-
I've noticed his name popping up on a lot of things.
Well, this is like a series that's gotten him a lot of attention. There's
Okay.
People are really
And
talking
well-deserved
about it.
at that.
And well deserved. It's an Indian that returns to his reservation. I guess not Indian. I guess Native American. I apologize to any Native American listeners.
There's not enough of them out there.
What are they gonna do?
Seriously, there's about 200 altogether, and 50 of them run casinos.
And what are the odds any of them listen to Leog? Now we're gonna get that one guy. It's like, hey, damn you!
Because he's
But
drunk.
I'm 1/7.
he's been gone for 15 years, and he comes back, and he's kind of a douchebag. But he gets involved in a series of basically corruption going on the reservation, and it's,
Really?
No.
it's essentially it's.
I thought the reservation was a bastion of integrity.
I
Are
mean,
you
it's a-
implying that we haven't treated the Native American well in this country?
This is one of these books that isn't really a magic book; it's more of a crime book, really, which is great.
No. They've done a lot of things like that that was kind of slipped through the cracks. I remember one that was called Muck Tuck about a Indian or Native American shaman that I read a long time ago. A Vertigo comic, and I really liked.
I thought that was a.
Or I guess it was maybe
That's
it
an
was
offensive word
Inuit.
for
I thought it was a term for
Yeah.
surprise anal sex. Oh, I'm sorry. Was
Muck
that? I thought it was.
I thought
the
that's
other
when
one.
the man thing went to the strip club to do his tranny routine.
Would you like to see my giant-sized man thing?
You know, if you know fear, you'll burn.
like the touch of the man thing. Oh boy, Jesus.
And of course, Todd McFarlane's like, yeah, your man thinks nothing like my 13-inch violator.
And that's Marvel, not DC. Okay?
Right.
All right.
But yes, so this is a little bit more crime oriented. Now is Brubaker's his criminal stuff on Vertigo?
No.
No, that's in the Marvel.
That's
That's the
Icon.
Marvel imprint.
Which
Icon.
is great. Which is absolutely
But he
phenomenal.
did
If
see
you're not
the
reading his-
crime, I think, for Vertigo. Because besides horror comics, Vertigo did a lot of crime.
Well, Vertigo is the
Yeah.
Wind in the Willows has it that Vertigo is going to start its own crime line called
Really?
Vertigo
Well, they should
Crime.
because crime is
exactly.
huge right
They've
now.
already had two. They've had two
Crime's
examples.
always huge.
There've been two in that line already. One is a John Constantine story, which was written by Ian Rankin, who's a famous British crime novelist. And the other one, I forget the name of it, is by Brian Azzarello, and that one is straight
100
up.
Bullets?
100 bullets?
No, it's not 100 Bullets, but it's the project he's doing afterwards. And this one is a straight up, basic film noir-esque crime story.
Is it the one based on Greek?
No, that's
Greek Street?
That's Greek Street. That's I think that's also Mike Carey.
How is now? I'm curious about Greek Street because basically, like the premise for Greek Street is ripped off from Fables, or at least it sounds like being ripped off. They're like
Everything is being a rip-off right now.
Well, yeah,
Unwritten seems like
this
that
all
too.
happened. This all happens in the real world, but it's basically the conceit is all these people are the heroes and gods and demigods of Greek mythology. They actually are walking around.
Well,
and
that sounds like it's ripped off of the Percy Jackson series.
Well, it's kind of being done the same way that like Sons of Anarchy is based off of Hamlet.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, there's a certain level of magical realism to it, like a character comes back to life. I'm not really spoiling anything. This isn't the first issue.
Characters themselves, like they've lived generation after generation. Then.
I haven't seen any indication of that. I mean, they've got characters with the same name, like this one guy. His daughter's name's Cassie. She's obviously schizophrenic. She hears voices, thinks she sees the future. There's a guy who's very clearly Oedipus. I forget what his real name is, but he's
Rex.
he's come back.
Harry Foot.
He's come back to town.
Harry Foot.
He's come back to town to find his mother, and he ends up sleeping with her because they both got really drunk one night.
Wow,
We've
never
all
been
been
that.
there,
I've
right?
never been that drunk, and I've been drunk.
And the Greek chorus in this case are a bunch of strippers who work at a strip club that this one character owns, and the character is this version's parallel to Agamemnon.
So Frank Miller is writing this. Is what
I
you're saying?
know, right? Wait, did he rape his mother, or was it just regular
You had me at
sex?
strip club.
Yes.
You
And
had
that's-
me at incest.
And that's where we all stop and go, strip club.
Next question then. Right?
Diddle-doo, diddle-doo, diddle-doo. No, y'all really don't want to see us at a strip club again. That's too disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we will see each other at a strip club again. That much I'm certain of.
So right after this?
Bo takes
No,
the main
not right
edge.
after this.
All right, right after I.
Oh, dude, Halloween is like one of the best times to go to a strip
Okay,
club.
shush.
Really?
Oh, they in costume?
They all get in costume.
Oh, that's fun.
And then
Do they
take
take
it
them
off?
off? Okay, good.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Go to a strip club and see girls with clothes on. What?
No, you want to go see
Dude,
somebody.
all
dressed up
I'm
as
saying
your
is there's
favorite
going to be
fantasy.
one dressed up as
And
Jessica Rabbit, and I'm going to be in front row with a fistful of dollars.
Oh my God! Can you imagine Paige from Palazzo dressed up like Morticia from the Addams
Well, that's the
Family?
thing. You know what? There's articles all
I'm
over
in
the
my
place
happy
how this
place.
year it's the sexy superhero costumes that are all the rage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
God, do
Well,
we
go
know
to
anyone
happy
that dresses
place.
up like a sexy superhero that's maybe been on Leog before?
Yeah,
By the way, if anybody out there wants to send really any of the ladies of Leog the Green Lantern Arisia uniform, fucking go for it.
You
That's all I
approve,
can
eh?
say. You are approved.
I
Full
saw-
speed ahead, warp 7.
I saw a
Ulterior
picture
motives.
of Jim Nazi dressed up in a Green Lantern outfit, and it reaffirmed my belief in God.
How
She took it down.
That's sad.
But
what?
if she'd like to repost it or perhaps send it
Tease.
to a member of the league.
Through sheer coincidence, it is completely reasonable to suggest that a girl that hot could dress.
Well,
up in
she
that
might have
outfit.
taken it down, but I'm sure Jim Smith has reposted it somewhere.
Oh, God.
15 times.
Yeah, no, right? Oh, good
Seriously.
call out.
Lord.
It's like, guys, I do
No,
wonder about that.
I went online today to the League Lounge, and it was the first time in I believe a month that the pictures on the sidebar weren't Jim Smith.
What is
Alfred
it-
Smith.
Are you making this into your personal, like, not quite porn site? I mean, what is the point of this?
Yeah, seriously.
Why are you doing this? I don't
there's
even
another
understand.
guy
Well,
named
you know,
Batman
and
does
I don't
that
want
too.
to. I don't want to say anything against the guy. I don't
No,
know him, and,
no.
and you know, it's just like, hey, man, I like to look at scantily clad women
Sure.
all the time, and I imagine even if I was a parent, I would still enjoy doing that. But the fact that he has in his profile is like, I like to go to cosplay conventions with my 12-year-old daughter, and you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, that's a little squishy.
Well, I just go,
Right.
we're all on the internet.
Yeah,
and we
exactly.
all know how
We're-
to find
we're
this
all
stuff.
fucking
I
the
can
internet.
use Google image search
Yeah.
all by myself.
I mean, but
thanks,
you're
Jim.
spending hours just uploading these pictures to Spill, and it's not like you can get paid for having them on
He's paying
Spill.
tribute.
Yeah.
And eventually one of these girls might see this and decide, oh, this guy loves me so much, I'm going to look him up and have sex with him.
Just stop.
Or
Or
restraining order.
yes.
Just
Yeah, more likely, probably. But you know what, Jim?
more
Your
power
libido
to,
is admirable.
And by God, I'm not implying that you're deviant in any way, because like I said, naked women on the internet, big fan.
Yeah,
So-
I'm only my only question is why do you keep uploading them to spill? Because it doesn't seem like there's any benefit for you really. But okay, maybe that's what you're using as your place to go for all your favorite pictures in all one place at a specific convenient time
Maybe.
for you.
Guess what? We don't take too kindly to anime folks around these parts.
He isn't demanding we do anything.
Are
He's
you
so
into
cool
them
by
big
me.
eyes and speed lines? Because that's just unnatural.
Last time we had one of them anime fags around here, Bo fucked them to death.
Luckily, Bo has tentacles instead of a penis. So
Never saw a
Actually,
one-man
that
double
makes sense
penetration
on all
before.
kinds of levels.
all right, we're gonna move on to the
Yes, it
next
does.
question because I'm
Please
starting
God.
to get distressed. Porter says, unlike most comics, Vertigo's long line of series have a definite beginning, middle, and end. Well, some of them anyway.
Yeah, some of
What is the league's favorite and worst ending to a Vertigo comic? And I'm gonna still say, actually, The Preacher is probably my favorite. Ending.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
I love that. I really do. But there's just something about watching him twirl that fucking gun in his hand and laughing into the universe. Transmetropolitan.
Yeah.
My favorite ending.
10%, motherfuckers.
But there are so many that end well. But what's a bad one? I'm like, the bad ones we just forget about. Really.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, usually, like, a bad ending on a Vertigo comic is one where it's like, well, I was hoping for more. And you just kind of walk away from it.
The closest to a bad one I could think of, and that's mostly just because it took me a couple of tries before I actually got it, was The Invisibles. And that was more along the lines of, The Invisibles is one that you need to read several times
Yeah.
before you can really
on
absorb it.
all sorts of different kinds of chemicals.
Yeah, and in fact, you want to read it in front of your computer with Wikipedia handy
Yes.
because it references so much obscure stuff. It's the Robert Anton Wilson of comics,
And
for
preferably
Garth- or
a
the Illuminatus
pharmacist
trilogy,
and an
really.
attorney.
It's Garth. It's Garth.
Grant
Morrison.
Morrison. Thank you. Grant Morrison's like epic. It really is. It's his if you love Grant Morrison when he does into conspiracy stuff, it's the best thing he ever did with that. And on that level, it's really quite genius. But you've got to like that sort of thing to start with going into it. That's for sure.
Grant, did you have a definite answer? No?
I was just going to say that I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, Clay, the other day about the ending to Why the Last Man. And
Okay,
while...
I'm still reading that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well then I'm going to be vague.
Okay.
Very vague.
It sucks. Stop
Very,
reading
very
now.
vague.
Yeah.
Just like this imaginary friend that doesn't exist within the league.
I liked the ending a lot, and he
But I can see
really
how-
found it very
yeah.
depressing.
And
I can see that.
It can almost be perceived. There's a little bit of weakness there if you want to read it one way, not
But
the other.
yeah, I think that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
won't say anything else.
I think that's a
Sorry,
good
you
call.
guys.
Actually.
Well, the one thing, the
but
one
by
way to
no
look at
means,
it-
by no means, let that make you stop
Yeah,
reading.
I
Last
loved
Man.
it.
It's a badass
Yeah,
fucking
because
series.
If I could-
if I hear you guys correctly, I'm gonna stop.
No, if I
No.
could tell it to you, I would say it reminds me of the ending to 6 Feet Under.
and
I love that. That's one of the
Exactly.
greatest
the
endings
best
ever.
ending ever.
I think
so.
it's incredible.
I would say that the very last issue is not the ending so much as an epilogue.
Yeah, and there's some stuff in there you really, really definitely want to see.
And I could,
Yeah.
I could make that accusation of something where like you should stop before the epilogue, and then maybe later after you've emotionally distanced yourself, go and read the epilogue for the Sandman, because The Wake is an amazing ending to that book. But then there's this epilogue where it's like, oh, we need to do another Shakespeare story, and in this case they do
The Tempest.
The Tempest.
The Tempest. And honestly, like reading that where everything that's right before it, it feels almost kind of anticlimactic. You're
They
like,
kind of
well,
they kind of hammered it in there.
yeah, they did. They hammered it in there, and it's
They
one of those
did,
things
but
like
at the same time, it's also the Tempest is really Shakespeare's last story. I mean,
Yeah.
he sees himself as Prospero, and Prospero is talking about how I now lay down my staff and book and give up my powers. And that was basically Gaiman kind of addressing the reader directly, saying, I'm putting down this is the end of the
Not
Sandman.
writing this shit anymore.
I'm going to go off, become a novelist, and sleep with the star of the Dresden Dolls.
amongst other musicians. No, it's not bad. It really isn't. It just felt like because he's done Sandman stuff since then as like single stories and graphic novels, and it felt like it should have been one of those. It's
he really hasn't done a graphic novel per se. He wrote the Dream Hunters, but which have recently been made into a graphic novel. But he hasn't sat down and actually written out a Sandman story that is meant to be, hey, this is going into comics.
No, that's true. This should have been one of those though. There should have been a break and then this because the wake is the real
ideally
ending.
it would have ended up in Fables and Recollections or Dream Country, which are kind of the little combo issues. These are some one-off things that I took that add a little something to the main storyline, but they're not completely necessary to read either.
This is actually a good opportunity for us to talk about because we haven't even said what the story of the Sandman is, because a lot of people still don't know. They keep hearing it.
It's the story of a man who goes into children's bedrooms at night and sprinkles sand in their eyes and makes them fall asleep.
And then rapes them? Oh, no, it's not the Jason.
No, that was Jack Kirby's Sandman, actually. He was the
I was
he was the
acquitted,
rapist.
by the way.
Acquitted.
Okay, allegedly the Jason
so this is the
story?
guy with the red and yellow costume and the little teenage sidekick. Right?
It is. Indeed, it is at first. Sort of.
There is that actually does make an appearance. Jack Kirby did a Sandman series for DC in the 70s, and those characters actually end up playing a part in Neil Gaiman's major story. In fact, a lot of things do. Like I was mentioning the old hosts of the horror comics in the 1970s.
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel play big roles, pretty big supporting roles. There are the witches from The Unexpected and The Witching Hour actually show up here and there. They have one that actually involves the Martian Manhunter.
This is a new mythology comic.
Yeah.
The idea being that, all those other gods, they exist. There's God and there's Satan and there's all the Greek gods and there's all the Egyptian pantheon and all that.
But there's also the endless.
There's also those gods that are not even really gods.
Well, they're not.
Because
They're
personifications.
They're personifications.
Well, Sandman really takes everything you have ever known or read
and boils it down to the letter D.
Yeah, and wraps it up into one nice little package, and you will read it. And as a writer or someone who writes, I wouldn't say a writer, but someone who writes,
that would be the definition of writer. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, are you the writer of Spill?
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
There's a distinction as someone who writes, but not necessarily a writer. Reading Sandman, you're like, well,
you're an alcoholic jackass and you write stuff. You're a writer, Jason.
If it was good enough for Hemingway, it's good enough for you.
Yeah, seriously, dude. We all expect you to die by killing yourself at some point.
Yeah.
In a house full of six-toed cats.
Well, accidentally maybe, but no. In reading Sandman, Sandman is so good, it's depressing because you get even 2 trades in, and the first thing you think is, no matter how good I am, I will never, ever, ever, ever be as good as one fucking issue of Sandman.
And you're right. You won't
I will never be as intelligent. I will never be as well read. I mean, it's so broad and sweeping.
As much as I love Swamp Thing, Preacher, and Hellblazer, they don't hold a candle to
Sandman was the first comic that convinced people, to quit doing those biff, pow, comics aren't just for kids anymore. That was the first time. Sandman really was the first time that comics are seen as literature.
Yeah. In fact, won the National Literature Award. Which is a giant controversy when it
You guys are
happened.
totally glossing over the best thing about Sandman.
Yeah.
It is the comic for getting girls into
It
comics.
is. It is absolutely the
only thing that
icebreaker.
comes in second is X-Men, but Sandman is
Really?
first. Oh yeah,
I wouldn't have thought.
because X-Men is full of lots of strong female characters.
X-Men's a soap opera, but with powers.
I would have said Fables.
Yeah, where's Allison to be sweating the Sandman right now?
Yeah, but look, I just
Allison
want
would
to say,
be
as far
touching
as
herself
we
right
still
now.
haven't really said the basic idea here is that there's 7 gods? Is that or
Yeah, the seven. There are
endless?
7 of the
Death,
endless.
dimension.
Endless,
Yeah.
not gods.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they are gods, but they
Yeah.
don't think of themselves as gods.
Here's-
Death, destiny, despair,
No,
desire.
they're not, because
Dementia.
by definition, deities are worshipped, and the endless.
The endless
That's true, they
exists
don't-
regardless.
Yeah, because
Are.
the deities require worship just to exist on any level.
Yeah.
The endless are there no matter what.
Yeah, I think in order of age, it goes destiny, death, dream, despair, formerly
Destruction.
delight,
Destruction.
Yeah.
destruction, delirium.
Yeah, delirium is formerly delight.
Thank you, and desire.
And dork, which is you apparently for knowing that. Jesus.
Sandman is the comic that justified my
Nice.
English degree.
Cyrus for the win.
I just started reading Sandman just a few months ago when I borrowed them from here, and I was astounded that I had not picked it up before, but only because I just didn't have access to it. And I
Well,
can't-
let me hear your thoughts because you're new to this. All the rest of us have read this and
Yeah. It's
probably
fresh
multiple
news.
times.
I've actually probably forgotten more than you
I've
know.
never read. I only read the first 2, and I was depressed after the second one, so I stopped reading and moved on to Fables.
Leave.
Outsider!
It was such a bummer. It's one of the first comics I picked up.
Drag. That's you.
All right. fair enough.
I only read happy stuff.
After he just went on going, I like the dark, depressing ending to Y the Last Man. What the fuck, Grant?
I evolved. I should probably go back and read it now. I'm much more in touch with my emo side.
But Kristen, tell us what. I'm curious to know what some of your thoughts are about it.
I'm really liking it, and what I don't get about myself that I haven't picked up before is I'm a huge Tori Amos fan, and in case you don't know, Tori and Neil Gaiman go back and forth referencing each other in their work. And
Careful,
almost-
boys. She likes to stab genitals.
What?
Yeah, Tori Amos. Yeah.
Tori Amos.
You want to talk about a castrating bitch?
I don't know about that. Tori Amos. I actually kind of like Tori. I'm not a fan.
Gee,
or
she's a
anything.
redhead.
Yeah.
Shock.
But
And you're a fag.
She
Shock.
she has a lot of female fans, but the most serious ones tend to have bottles of Prozac in their medicine cabinet. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So.
I think she does a fine job of taking women to task too for some of our flaws. Just no one ever talks about that. I think she's an equally raged kind of person.
She's
But anyway.
talented and she's extremely close friends with Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, you'll find on almost every one of her albums she'll reference Neil a lot in her work. But the interesting thing about her is she was sitting there in L.A. for anyone who she was reading Sandman. Like sleeping on a friend's couch, and that friend that happened to actually be a comic book artist as well. So she was reading Sandman, and someone sent Neil Gaiman her demo tape, and he liked it so much they actually became friends. And so when I was reading the comic recently, like there's a bunch of Tori Amos lyrics in there, and I'm like, they had just met at this point if you look chronologically. So I thought it was really fascinating. But it took me a while to get into it. The first graphic novel, I was like, I don't know. Where's this going?
Well, the
And
first one's not the best one.
The first one, and the artwork was too sketchy for me.
Oddly,
Mike Dringenberg.
The first one you'll enjoy more when you go back and reread.
Yeah, oddly,
That's
if you
what it
read
was.
A Doll's House first, that is a much better introduction
Yes,
to the series.
It is.
Well, so it was like it took me to really get into it because I'm like, all this story information just seems not important. Like, why are we talking about this? But once you get more to the story, they reference everything they previously talked about, and it all keeps tied in back to each other again. So I'm like, oh, okay, that was important to know.
Yeah, I remember when I was first reading it, and when I did pick up the first trade paperback first, and I was like, well, this is interesting, and I had been lucky enough to read some of the individual issues in the comic book store that I was living next to at the time, and I was like, this seems really cool. I kind of want to find out about this, and so I could deal with the first 4 or 5 issues that ended up in that first trade paperback are interesting, but they're definitely origin stuff. It isn't until like the second to last comic in the series, which is in the trade paperback, which is 24 Hours, I had quit reading comics in 1987, and my brain practically came out of my ears when I read that. I was just like, holy fuck.
I enjoyed all the runs of the Sandman, the stories inside of it, but honestly, my favorite is I think it's the fourth real storyline in it, which is a season of Mist.
Yeah.
Yes,
where-
Sandman sends another one of his girlfriends to hell.
Yeah,
Is that
and
the Zero one?
it's the one.
Whoopsie.
It's where Lucifer basically goes to Sandman. and says, Look, I'm done. I'm
quit-
tired.
Oh yeah, that was real good.
I'm tired
Yeah.
of doing this. I'm tired of
I
running
read
hell. And honestly, there's nothing saying I have to. So I'm just going to quit and go hang out on Earth. Which
Oh,
there's
and
a
another
great
great-
whole series called Lucifer about him
another-
just hanging out on Earth.
Another great thing about the Sandman is Lucifer is David Bowie.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I caught that
There's no
immediately.
pretty much whatsoever.
No,
I mean,
I-
there are points where the artist and any artist who has ever represented him, I mean, they're actually using photos of Bowie for
Well,
reference.
that gives new meaning to the man who fell to earth.
Yeah. Well, most of the characters in it are actually based on
yeah.
specific people. I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
Dream,
There's some-
the Sandman is clearly Robert Smith. I mean, there's-
Actually,
I would have gone with Daniel Day-Lewis.
The hair,
Whoa,
but
whoa, whoa! I can show you a side-by-side photo comparison. The person that is used most often is actually Peter Murphy, the lead singer of
Okay,
Bauhaus.
fair enough. But that works too.
Yeah.
Whereas Delirium, who came in a little later, I mean, he said was based on drawings of Tori, of him just sketching Tori Amos.
Yeah.
And that the design for that character came out of those sketches.
Really?
Yeah. But a lot of the characters are based on real people. In
What
fact,
about-
I've met the woman Death was based on, Cinnamon, who used to live here in Austin. God knows where she is now or if she's even alive. She kind of one of those playing it fast and rough with her life types, but a fun person to hang out with. And she was friends with Mike Dringenberg, the original artist. And
What about Despair? Because I don't ever want to meet her because that's gross.
Yeah,
Ew.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe Roseanne Barr. I'm not sure.
That's your mom.
Yeah.
No, she looks like the Venus of Millendorf.
Dringenberg was an
It's just
interesting
old-
Oh
cat.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I hung out with him once,
Like a Stone Age.
and I had fun talking with him. But he really like his fame on drawing that book kind of went to his head.
Who,
and he-
Mike Dringenberg?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really?
and he got into arguments with Karen Berger, the editor, and she ruled Vertigo with an iron fist. I mean, it was her baby, and he pissed her off in a very public way. And it was one of those where like
and he never worked on Sandman again.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, like he was like at the time he was drawing it, he was such a superstar because that book had just taken off
Right.
so quickly. And yeah, he just like
He hasn't done a lot.
he overstepped his bounds and
Yeah.
really thought that like, well, sure, she's pissed at me now, but
and
we'll get this worked out because there's no way they're gonna fire me.
I will say
And guess what?
For the record, I've always found the earlier art in Sandman to be of less quality than the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
middle is
That's the
when
thing.
it really starts picking up, and especially
yeah.
Michael Zulli's. The Apex is really Michael Zulli's stuff for the Wake.
But you get Michael Zulli, you get P. Craig Russell, Colleen Duran.
Yeah,
I thought Charles Vest did the way.
No,
No?
the Wake is almost all of it, except for the Tempest is Michael Zulli.
Okay, well
love
that
to
is
see-
and
the
his
best
stuff.
art.
I mean,
Yeah.
he paints.
That's
I'd
the
love
best
to
art
see
of the
Dave
whole
McKean
series.
Yes.
do the whole damn thing.
Well, Dave McKeon is an amazing artist who did all the covers,
Yeah.
and the covers
Oh,
are what
wow.
He does
back
a
when
lot
it was
of-
coming out
yeah.
got a lot of us into it because they were like, "What the fuck is
He,
this?"
he,
What do you
he
remember,
really
like-
specializes in mixed media, so it'll have a drawing, but then it's like it's kind of semi-obscured by like shadow boxes with all of these like artistic eggs.
Yeah, they
that are
all
in
felt
it,
like
and
people
it's just-
taking a picture
yeah.
of
Well,
three-dimensional
I
art.
don't know if you guys remember like when Dave McKean first came on the scene because we had been like the forum had been elevated by
No,
Bill
you're the
Sienkiewicz.
only one old enough to remember that.
When we had Bill Sienkiewicz, who was elevating the forum, doing all these great paintings with mixed media and stuff. But as he was getting better in his talent, he was also getting a lot more artsy.
Yeah.
So it was like a little bit, it wasn't as accessible. And then Dave McKean came on. They both were trained by Baron Story. They both had like the same art teacher. But McKean came in, and he was more accessible, yet he was an even better painter. So that was like, wow, if we can get this guy.
Dave McKeon just a collection of his work just came out recently or is about to come out that has a lot of his cover work and individual art and everything. And it's a lot of mixed media stuff. And having seen just a couple of excerpts, it was in previews a couple of months ago, and it was gorgeous.
I will argue the point because I think Sienkiewicz is just as talented as, of an artist.
They're just
you know.
different with the
They-
art.
yeah.
they-
Well, yeah,
they're
it's apples and
different,
oranges,
They're similar,
really.
but by all means, if you're enjoying the art for any of the box sets of the Venture Brothers, that's Bill Sienkiewicz. baby.
Yeah, no, I love Sienkiewicz. I like sculpture and three-dimensional art.
Sure, no,
and
I
so
love mixed media.
I like Dave McKean better
Yeah.
because of the fact that he uses.
Okay.
No, he does.
Okay.
He does utilize.
Okay, to I guess to like put more focus on my point. You look at like what they were doing at the same time. You look at Elektra Assassin, which is gorgeous, but it really went pretty wild.
It did.
But then you look at Arkham Asylum, which was right out at the same time, where it was a lot more focused and accessible.
Here's how you tell if you're confused, if it's Bill or if it's Dave.
No,
Are there a bunch of little triangles along the edge of the page? It's Bill.
No. Here's how you're confused. If you just described Arkham Asylum as accessible.
Hey, I love Arkham Asylum.
I have to
really
too.
do.
I have to give
I
Sandman
don't like the writing
credit.
so much, but I love the artwork.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things that took me more than one read to get, and it's now considered at the time I don't think they said, but it's now firmly considered to be an Elseworlds. Like this is not continuity Batman at all.
Yeah. Continuity Batman doesn't write about Two-Face shitting himself.
Yeah, but it's the whole like, okay, let's kind of do more like Batman, maybe more in the real world. Like these guys are crazy fucking people.
Oh, yeah.
and it's exploring all these guys and Batman as well as being people with seriously debilitating emotional and psychological problems.
Yeah, like the guy that dresses up like a bat.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got to give Sandman credit because it literally got me through college. My first two years there, I was an art major, and because I'm into comics.
Did you pass with a D?
Actually, I barely passed at all because the head of the art department hated comics and hated figurative art.
Oh, dude, I had that too.
And told me literally that she would rather see me cut my fingers off with tin snips than call myself an artist.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So our final project, the final class I had in there, our final project, we had to draw a word out of a hat and do our final project based on that word. And I drew death. So, knowing that she would have absolutely no idea what the heck this was, I drew Neil Gaiman's Death, and the character that launched 1,000 nerds falling in love with goth chicks.
Basically, you cheated.
Basically.
Hey, I totally copped a Moon Knight story for one of my writing projects in creative writing in high school. So
the best
right
part,
there with you.
the best part is during the critical review at the end. Everyone, as everyone sits there and just rips your art to pieces, everyone's like, "Oh, this is so original! It's Death as a young girl getting away from the seventh seal and the skull and the chess playing and the scythe and the little goth girl in the back who never said a word the entire semester is rolling on the ground laughing her ass off and nobody knows why."
So I think it's safe to say that just about all of us in this room for some sort of for-credit assignment in class have ripped off something from comic books and or pop culture.
Yes.
My English teacher isn't going to know about that shit.
So, round robin.
And I'll
Yes,
bet everybody
yes.
here got A pluses too.
Round robin, starting with Cyrus.
Yes.
What's yours?
It's this Leog right now.
What did you rip off from comics or pop culture that helped you get a good grade
Yes,
in
this is so
school?
God, I don't even remember anymore.
I-
That was so long ago. Jesus. I mean, I remember at one point they asked a creative writing story, and I turned in James Bond Jr.
Wow, epic fail.
And Jason, you're failing to take into account how incredibly fucking stoned Cyrus was.
Yes, yes, thank you. That's very true.
Leon.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I have a similar story to Harris's, but mine was high school, where we had to like create a book, and I did a whole story of myself as Mr. Miracle, scot-free, escape from apocalypse, and I drew like Granny Goodness and her female furies as all my art instructors. Like I did it for like the one cool a teacher I had. He was like, "Dude, go for it." But when it came time to like give our presentations, all those teachers was sat in on it, and I was just like, "Oh no, you're kidding me!" And I had to get up there and like explain every panel what was going on.
How old were you?
I must have been 15?
56.
Nice.
Wow, so
16?
you actually drew Miracle Man before Jack Kirby.
Nice.
And then I hear
Sucker punch.
I hear there's a legal group getting together.
Harris has told his.
It's a scot-free, big body. They were all mine. Mine, I tell you.
Just one of those situations where like everybody in class is like laughing and cheering on, and that group of teachers is just looking silently, and they get up and leave like right after.
So
mine
was it
done.
hard inventing paper so you could do this?
Well, I had to write it. It
We
was
had
all
to gather the
hieroglyphs, if that
reeds
means
by the
anything.
Nile.
So, Bo, what was yours?
Bo,
We
what's
already heard
yours?
Harris's. So.
I turned in a creative writing story that it was a direct ripoff of the Moon Knight story Hit It, which I think is like
Is that the one with jazz? With the jazz guy?
Yeah, with the jazz, and it's like when Bill Sienkiewicz just like went off and
Yeah.
just started doing it, and it's Doug Minch's best fucking story. It's
Right.
fucking awesome. But yeah, I totally took that and ripped it off. And my teacher was like, "This is incredible. I want to put it in the literary magazine."
You're
And I
like,
was just
no,
like,
no, 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 no.
no.
No, but you were like,
I
you're
don't
right.
think
Isn't
I'm
it
gonna do
awesome? I love the part where Moon Knight. I mean, Kristen.
In 5th grade, from memory, I almost word for word, as best I could remember, turned in a creative writing project that was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode.
Wow.
I mean, almost word for word. If she had sat down and watched the episode, she would have given me an F. But she
Cowabunga!
Awesome.
I loved how you incorporated the Renaissance artist into the spirit of your story.
You know she's like 80 on the couch with an oxygen tube under her nose.
Cannula.
She can't turn the channel, but that episode comes on and she's like, God damn it.
Jason?
Jason, ye who put us on the spot.
Yeah, in
You better have a good answer, motherfucker.
Yeah, in fourth grade we had these things called squiggles, and it was where the teacher would give you some like odd sort of scribble on a piece of paper, and you had to turn that little scribble into a picture, and then write a story about it.
Okay, I thought it was the
remember
rich.
those. Those were so
I thought it
fun.
was the Rich Little thing. I guess.
Yeah,
No,
I was
no,
gonna
no,
say.
no,
And
that's
I drew
it.
Snappy the Turtle.
Yeah. So I did the Warlock of War or something
That's
like
not
that.
Rich Little. That's this guy from Not Necessarily the News, and those are Sniglets.
Sniglets.
Sniglets, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was my joke. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay.
But I took a picture and turned it into the Warlock of War, which is a ripoff of the Bishop of Battle.
Wait, what's that?
Yeah, what is that? I'm
It's
laughing.
from
I don't know what it is.
it's from an early to mid '80s horror anthology called Nightmares, and this particular
God.
segment in it
I
was
remember that.
starring
Which he might as well have claimed that he wrote because
Yeah,
no one
right.
else saw it.
I saw it.
This particular segment starred Emilio Estevez about him playing this badass, extraordinarily hard video game, and he gets
Boom,
sucked
boom,
into the
boom,
video
boom.
Oh
game.
my god, I remember that.
Wait,
Oh,
did
yeah.
you say yours was called The Wizard of War?
No, mine, yeah,
Because
no,
that-
the Warlock of War.
Okay, because that sequence was ripped off from a video game called The Wizard of
War.
War.
Oh yeah, no, I-
Spelled W-O-R.
Yeah,
yeah. No, but I my story based on this squiggle was the Warlock of War, which was, I am the Bishop of Battle. I have 13 progressively more difficult levels, mortal, or whatever. So yeah, I wrote a story about Emilio Estevez.
And still haven't gotten laid.
I'll make you famous.
Suck it, Midland, Odessa High.
Yeah, this. So yeah, that was third or fourth grade, and promptly thereafter, my fourth grade teacher had one of the other students ask me if I recreationally took drugs.
You know, folks, I wish you could see this. That Jason is gesturing with his pipe stem. It's just so how we always picture him in our head. Anyway, it's lovely. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone always draws the Leog fan art pictures of me with a pipe, which I only had like that one night on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
But you post that picture with you with the pipe
everywhere.
a lot.
Everything. Yeah,
Sounds
that's
like
my icon.
socialism to me, pal.
Yeah, that's my icon on like every social network, and I'm gonna have to do a new one with me with the smoking
Social
jacket.
networks.
Indeed.
Not socialist networks. Hell no.
I don't know. Somebody's wearing
Does-
commie red right now.
Does alt.com astound as a socializing site?
No, but Adult Friend Finder does.
Woohoo!
Okay, so Grant.
When I went on a semester-long art hippie trip there's a study abroad trip.
All right, shut the fuck
to-
up, Cyrus.
No. I want to hear this. 'cause
I
I
do
know
wanna
about
hear
this
Yeah, he's
trip.
talking about studying broads.
Be nice to Grant. He brought us a smoking jacket.
I went to the southwest desert of the U.S. and traveling through Nevada and Arizona, New Mexico area. we stopped at this one place where we were supposed to travel around.
Peyote are us.
We're supposed to travel around to significant sites within the Southwest desert where people have created art, like Double Negative, Spiral Jetty, certain large landmark
Sure.
art projects. And we were supposed to try and find inspiration and create our own art. We went to Muley Point, which is this place that has these huge cliffs overlooking this canyon, and there's a special soil there called cryptobiotic soil. I decided for a project to paint myself up like the Flash and have a friend paint themselves up like the Hulk in order to make a video, a campy style video discussing the importance of preserving the cryptobiotic
You were
soil.
painted up like
Wait.
the Flash?
I painted myself up
So,
in
like,
the
you were-
desert
You were
heat.
naked.
You
So you
Yeah,
were
that's
naked
what
and
I
paint
said.
yourself red and yellow?
I had shorts on. I had red shorts on, but otherwise my entire body's painted up red.
Oh, I saw this on YouTube.
and I got burnt and through all the cracks. And
It'll make you
in the
feel
paint.
better. I was just there not too long ago, and they're still showing that video.
In fact, when you go into the
It should
little
be up
museum
on my
there,
YouTube, but
they've got like little.
At the Grand Canyon gift shop?
Yeah, they got a little video thing set up, and you just press the big red button, and first thing you see is Grant
Grant.
and his buddy there.
Dressed as the Flash.
Yeah,
it's kind of a big deal. I didn't want to brag about it, but I appreciate that, guys.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
We appreciate you even more now.
Oh, thanks.
How do you make this
Which
megaphone
isn't
work?
all that much when you add it all up. But
You know what? All this brings me to a question that was perfect for this from the. Oh, I'm sorry,
Hooray.
I was
Kristen.
actually gonna interject something back to Sandman again.
Uh-huh.
We are live twittering this show right now.
Yes, which I hope is something that doesn't happen every week.
Really? Yeah, no shit.
Anyway,
Is your anti-Twitter?
Because they can't concentrate while you
You
guys
guys
are
can
typing.
That's
on
it.
your own
exactly. Thank
what's
you.
a Twitter?
You don't want to know.
Any
Just
of-
No,
go
I
on.
just meant what's the matter?
Oh.
You know, what's a
Is,
Twitter?
is that what the kids are saying now?
what are you all twittered about?
But what is the Twitter, Kristen?
it is basically a live texting service, pretty much.
No, not the service. we know what that is.
You should have been more specific. Okay, anyway.
It's like what happened? Start from the beginning. In the beginning, all was dark. And then boom!
We're all sitting there like,
The
what's
planet's
Twitter?
formed.
A hospital, doctor. What is it?
What
It's
is
a large
this
white building full of
internet?
sick people.
In a
It's not
pool.
important now.
First the
Two
dinosaurs
tiny
came,
amoeba.
but they got too big and fat and they
The
died.
start of
then
life.
the Abs came and they started buying Mercedes Benzes. Then Prince Charles started wearing all really nice clothes. I couldn't
Innocently
believe it.
answering your question. You should have worded it better.
What is the Twitter in question?
Yes.
Kristen?
That's
Yes,
fair.
Kristen, we're done.
Coming back full
uh,
circle to where you can talk again.
Leog has been cast as the Sandman Endless.
By who?
His name on Twitter is Grog42.
If I don't get destruction, I fucking will kill every one of you on that
Well,
goddamn
we're all
site.
dead because it goes Destruction is Jason,
Yeehaw.
Delirium is me, which I like. Dream is Grant. Destiny is Leon.
Yeah.
Desire is
Destiny, the
Allison.
oldest one, I might add.
I can already see where this is going.
Desire is Allison. Bo, you're death.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, but Bo, you can't
And
argue with death. Come
Cyrus, you're despair.
Yeah, I knew. That's all I said.
Really?
I knew
You're
where this was
despair?
going. The truth is, I would be Delirium, having by far the ingested.
You're not a cute little girl.
Having ingested the largest quantity by far of hallucinogenics of these.
Somebody just
everyone
delivered a
in this
bunch
room.
of beer here. It's awesome.
on. Yeah, you got Mormons dropping off beer? What's going on?
Yeah.
I think they've got a Y on mine. I think I'm dreamy.
But
You are.
let's not forget. Let's go back to the whole despair Cyrus thing, and let's talk about his nasty gray flapjack tits.
Yeah, so I'm the only one who gets a Sandman character based on how I look. Thanks, that's great. Hey, he's the guy. He's the fat guy. Okay, well he must be.
See, that's why I'm so pissed.
Dude,
because I actually look
I'm
like
Destiny. Come on.
That's true. You look the most like Destruction. Yeah, if your hair was long, you wouldn't be able to tell
Yeah.
the difference.
Yeah.
But you know
I've
what?
seen
As long-
pictures.
if my hair was long, I had a beard and carried a bindle.
As I was saying, The Mighty Colossus asks a question that applies specifically to this whole last round of questions, which says, I got an F on a paper about the comparisons between Hitler's Reign and Adam J. Susan from V for Vendetta because my teacher said that comic books about superheroes aren't literature works.
Oh, really?
I tried to
It's time
explain...
for you to withdraw from school,
I tried
buddy.
to explain the Vertigo published comics are works of fucking art, which you probably should have phrased it a little differently to be fair, and not some children's book, but he didn't believe me. But let me rewrite it using an actual literary work. How do you guys feel about Vertigo comics being more than just a superhero story that we've read 1,000 times? And also, how do you feel about people who still don't consider comic books literary works?
They're ignorant. Quit teaching children.
Well, yeah.
They're Americans.
And I also would like to interject as far as the superhero stuff. Has your teacher been under a rock lately? Because I mean, you know, I'm still amazed at running into people who have this pedestrian idea that comic books, they're for children. It's just like, what rock did you crawl the fuck out from under? I mean, this stuff has been on CNN.
They've won the
It's been
Pulitzer
all over.
Prize.
They've won Pulitzer Prizes. It's just like, get with the
People
program
still have
here.
a negative connotation.
Oh,
If you want the first argument about comics not being literature, first there's Sandman, then there's Mouse.
Well, and you know, it's the same people. It's just like saying that it's the same kind of people that say, "Oh, well, genre fiction isn't real fiction." It's just like, yeah, it is. It just depends on who's fucking writing it. If it's good, it's good. You know, there is pap novels that get onto the bestseller list, and you know, there are pap novels that get excellent reviews too.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. You know, it's a media. That's all it fucking is.
Four
it's
words.
a media.
God loves, man kills.
If I might be Mephisto's consigliere,
Conciliate.
there's everything you guys say is true, but look at percentage-wise. I mean, yeah, we got Vertigo and some very adult comics, but percentage-wise, it's still ruled by things that are not adult fare.
That being said,
By Danielle
when you-
Steele
Yes,
and
and
Harlequin
that
West.
percentage
Thank you.
is manga.
If you look at actual literature coming out, the same exact
Yeah,
thing is true of books
absolutely.
that come out. The
And in
exact
fact,
same thing.
I've been reading Palm Sunday, which is a collection of essays by Kurt Vonnegut, and he was saying that somebody went up to him and he was like, and this was in the 70s, and he was like, yes, Americans haven't produced a novel in 40 years. Not a real novel, anyway. And his response was, well, yeah, you know, that's arguably true. So we just had to go out and form a literature. And you know, there are comics that are part of literature, just like there are novels and short stories and poems that are part of literature, and then there's a bunch of crap out
I
there.
really think it's kind of akin to how animation is seen in the film world.
Also, there's a bigger filter for short stories and novels.
At the same time, we live in a culture that predominantly not only doesn't read, but feels no shame in the fact they don't read. That announces it almost with a pride, like I don't read. I'm not going to go off on the whole Chris Rock rant, but there's like plenty of most people who don't read, who will probably say like, yeah, I don't have time.
Well, we have a pro-ignorance culture we're living
Exactly.
right now.
I mean, like the last 8 years was all about that.
Where it's literally been like, I mean, like there are people saying flat out, why would you even consider reading a book? And
but
what
when they're gonna make a movie
smarty
out
I
of it.
mean,
Yeah.
if you compare literacy rates with 100 years ago, there are more people reading now than ever before. I mean,
No,
I'm sorry,
that's
statistically, that's true.
Be that as it may.
Be that as it may, nothing. There's always going to be a percentage of society that doesn't read, that likes big blow 'em up, stupid movies with no plot. You know that his question is addressing. You know,
I like both things personally.
I do too. I love watching TV. I love doing non-literate stuff.
You
But
can do
I mean,
both.
I can kill a day going to, say, a Borders or Barnes & Noble and just sitting on my ass and reading all
I
day.
am just as irritated, though, as the extremely literate who are doing what this teacher is doing, or going like,
Yeah,
wow, why
exactly.
would you even consider watching a Hollywood film?
There-
you know the
you
type.
know-
Sure.
As I am by the people who have the opposite
There
opinion.
is a spectrum between, you know, the subliterate and the elitist.
You can
And you know, the the happy medium is the way to go.
You can convey a message, a very powerful one. You can generate something that will impact someone down to their very core and move them in any medium.
Sure.
Yeah.
You
Video games included.
Video games included, reality
to our old
TV
episode.
included.
Video games, come on.
Project
you guys.
Runway.
Yeah,
Project
Of
Leon,
course,
don't even start.
most reality TV out there, it's kind of scripted,
but
guys.
most of them are going to be absolute shit. Most of the stuff you
It's-
find in Barnes and Noble, absolute
It's Sturgeon's
shit.
law. 99% of everything is shit.
Yes,
Especially the
Yes.
stuff that Sturgeon wrote.
Ironically.
But I do think that the largest voices of critics also happen to be of the older, more established generations who haven't been as exposed to comics as the younger generation, and things will
Well,
change.
I think one of the reasons there is no scholarly criticism of the form yet. I think that's going to change. I
Well,
think
there is the
absolutely,
Comics
it's-
Journal.
We
have Leog
the Comics
now.
Journal the Comics Journal is a periodical. It is,
Yeah,
it is
and-
not
and
an
it's-
academic
it's
scholarly
compromised.
publication.
I would
Well-
go so far as to say it's an attempt to do that.
Not
though.
okay, but
But
by definition, it is
that
not
is
scholarly.
about as elitist as you can get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Comics
That's
Journal.
what I'm
The
saying.
Comics
Yeah.
Journal wears its biases on its sleeve.
I agree.
They're going to, it's like, I mean, Kristen has a degree in sequential art.
Right.
The fact that degree is even out there bespeaks that at some point there is going to be some cogent literary criticism of comics. I think it needs to happen, and when it does happen, we'll get less and less of this, of people starting up like, you can't use comic books in your paper. That's not a literary form. Well, fuck you, dude.
And,
You're
and
wrong.
again, I don't think this happens in Europe.
No,
it
it doesn't.
absolutely
And the reason-
Europe, where you have really comics, much like Japan, comics spanning all genres, where you've got stuff that's very ostensibly for kids, like Asterix and Tintin, or when you get to stuff that would be, not out of place in anyone's bookshelf, like Corto Maltese.
Well, I won't run down the whole history, but the reason why it bothers me like hell because comic form, sequential art, is an American art form. It is the only American art form. It's the only art form.
jazz.
Yeah, jazz also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, the only visual art form we have specifically created. We didn't create
Western.
painting. We didn't create sculpture, but we fucking created comics.
Yeah, good point. The Western.
And
Sorry, I'm just saying.
but that's a genre, not an art form. But anywho, my point being is that these other cultures have run with our own art form, and the reason we're so far behind is because of the censorship that happened in the 50s. We never got over it. We never got past it, and these people who were snubbing their noses and being elitist bullshit, they're still in this mindset of the 50s, and I would love to do a whole show on this, but Dr. Wortham's Seduction of the Innocent, go Google it if you want. But
There's
that's the
a
whole
cer-
reason it fucking happened.
There's a certain amount of elitism even within comics. I mean, if you get right down to it, one of the highest selling comics out there is about a kid who wants to be the best baker in all of Japan. Yeah. Whereas these days, X-Men, the writers on X-Men count themselves lucky when it cracks 100,000.
Look, I think we can sum this up very simply by saying that, like, one of the easiest intellectual traps to fall into that is the tendency you'll find yourself fighting in at some point or just giving in is to like something and then a couple years later look back at what came after and go, oh, that sucked, but the stuff we were listening to /reading /drawing /watching, it was so much better than it was before.
I heard a great story on Awesome Public Radio just yesterday. This guy was talking about the Michener Center at UT. James Michener, big novelist, but this guy was a student of his, and he said the thing I remember the most about him is never be afraid of a new idea. Always embrace the new. Don't just be not afraid of it. Always embrace the new. And he talked about James Michener was like going to Beatles concerts when the Beatles were first touring America, and he was in his 50s at this point. It's just like, man, that's the way you got to be. You have to be continually taking that stuff in. I mean,
I agree.
So
with-
I
I
should
agree.
go ahead and buy those Justin Timberlake tickets?
No,
Leon,
but
Man,
the-
get on
if
Twitter.
you don't think Justin Timberlake isn't a good singer, then there's something wrong.
And honestly, that's a ridiculous statement because, like, really, is that all that's new? No, of course it's not. There's thousands of bands out there that are enormously talented.
Yeah.
You're picking the most obvious, easiest guy to make fun of. It's like, yeah, is that there's always been.
I'm sorry,
crap.
I only did that because we run a comedy show here.
Yeah. Well, okay. When you say something funny, let us know.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I'm sorry,
if, I
man,
can,
you
if
know-
I can squeeze it in between your pontificating, I
Leon,
will.
Leon, I told you to hit the applause button. It's right there next to you. It's giant and red. Just push it.
I don't
Say, tell
own
some
anything
jokes.
by Justin Timberlake, but man, that motherfucking sing and dance. I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
And he's pretty
I am
fucking
not
funny
I am
on
not-
SNL.
I am not
Yeah.
a fan, but I certainly have to give the guy kudos.
It's
He
my
does-
dick in
he
the
does
box.
it well.
He was actually one of the only likable things in Southland Tales.
I grew up loving that guy when he was Michael Jackson.
But you know what? We're reaching the end here, but I want to do it quick because we only are able to talk about so much. I want to go one round where we're not doing a big
Really?
discussion, but just everybody to get to pull up one comic in Vertigo that we haven't even discussed yet and just say something about it real quick. I'm gonna start off and say Madame Xanadu right now, which
Really?
is a book I'm really enjoying the hell
All
out
right.
of.
I got
Yeah,
some
have
people
you-
that kind of told me like, don't bother with it.
Oh no, I really like it a lot. And
I
it's
read
re-
old school Madame
It's,
Xanadu.
it's one of the new series that really ties into
I
the
love
whole
Olivia
Sandman
Newton-John.
universe. Ties into the Sandman universe. You know, it's bringing up those like the Phantom Stranger is one of the main characters.
Oh,
in it.
awesome.
And
You know what?
it's
You're bringing up
great.
something that I wanted to talk about earlier, like what DC does. It's like the DC thing. They have
They
this,
never throw out anything.
No,
and
no,
I love them.
everything they've done
They
since
have
the
the
dawn of
addicts
time.
they have addicts like rich people have addicts. You know why rich people are rich? Because their family never throws out a fucking thing.
Yeah.
If they think they can get some use out of it, they're like, oh, you know that hippie comic we did? Well, just put it in the attic. We'll use it later, and then Neil Gaiman will come and write a fucking
That's what
story
all those
about it.
British writers have done with
Yeah.
Vertigo. Is that they've mined everything from DC that everybody thought was silly.
Every fucking shitty comic they picked up in
Yeah.
the 70s, they've written. I mean, Neil Gaiman wrote a story about Prez.
Prez!
Yes.
Which was
For
great.
Christ's
by
sake.
the
was
way.
awesome.
Oh, sorry. Moment of silence there. What, Jason? Were you saying?
Wait, what? Prez?
Yeah,
in
Prez,
Sandman?
the
Yeah.
teenage
Yeah.
president.
Oh yeah, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even there was a mini series afterwards at some point too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Not by him, somebody else wrote
Yeah.
it. But it was after that, like, oh, here's the expanded version of his.
What was
story.
that other thing? It was some kind of scarecrow type thing. That
Merv Pumpkinhead.
no, damn it.
No, it's the Ragdoll character, Brother Power.
Brother Power.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brother Power the geek.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I was
they
talking
did
about.
it.
Their hippie character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Leon, do you have a book that you wanted to bring up in the Vertigo line real quick?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. You talked so long, it slipped my mind for a second.
I haven't talked for like 4 minutes.
I know,
now.
but we went off on a bunch of tangents, and I had
Sure,
it like
put
right
it on
there.
me.
I had it loaded in
Tangents
the
on a
chamber.
Leog, you jest.
He's just still mad at me for the whole "you're not funny" thing. I feel like Raider all of a sudden.
Like, oh,
Slash Mr. Flesh Eater. So, see,
dude,
we brought that full
I assume
circle?
you're being
Stop
completely
saying his
sarcastic.
Yes, I
fucking
will.
name.
Tell some jokes.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, tell some jokes. Wow, I totally had one, and
I
it's,
can go.
Okay, go.
I would love to talk about Fables since we haven't
I
even
was
brought it
going to
up
also
yet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in your
inject
face,
that.
Kristen! I got to it first.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to
Fables
talk about
is
that
awesome
the whole
right
time
now.
you're talking about Fables?
There was a point where they just did the Great Fables crossover, and it
If you
bled
tell
into...
me of any single fucking spoiler, I will come over there and I will break your neck like I break a
if
wine
you
stone
aren't
glass.
up to date on
I
Fables
am-
on a Vertigo episode,
Whoa, dude! The trade paperback hasn't come out
Tell
yet.
him a spoiler, Grant.
Oh.
Tell Bo a spoiler.
off.
go to the bathroom, Bo.
Dude, it's less than a year old. No
He's
fucking
right.
spoilers.
He's right. No spoilers.
Sorry.
Come over to my house and borrow them. All
Shut
right,
the
fine.
fuck up, you little hobbit.
Wait, are we talking to Bo or?
Hey, I'm still way behind on Fables.
All right,
I am
fine.
too.
All I was gonna say was they just did a Great Fables crossover where they introduced a new book called The Literals, along with jumping into incorporating Jack of Fables and Fables, all under a same storyline.
The literals actually do. They feature in. Are you reading
yeah,
Jack of
yeah,
Fables?
but now they just broke off into their new line, and I thought it was horrible. However, the continuing story, once they're not having to attach themselves to those other storylines with Fables, is awesome, and I love the direction.
Is
they're
that
going.
written
So-
by Willingham as well, by the way?
Willingham is doing Fables, but he's collaborating with
Matt
loosely
Sturgis.
with Sturgis. Sturgis is mainly just spearheading.
Sturgis writes Jack of Fables.
and I think they have a new guy doing the literals.
I didn't know. I didn't even know it was going to be a
And
continuing series.
there's a fourth one that they're just breaking out with about Cinderella.
God damn, it's a franchise.
Is it-
Dude, I want to see that.
Cinderella, 'cause she's
the
a super
Cinderella
spy.
miniseries, like little one shots in Fables have been in fucking incredible.
Yeah, and so he is building
Cinderella as a
Willingham-
super spy.
yeah.
Willingham is actually building his empire.
Also,
just like
just
Geppetto,
to,
he's building.
Just to
an
plug
empire.
Bill, there is a Fables novel coming out that
Sam and Max.
Sam and Max.
It's out.
What's up?
Peter and Max.
Not
Okay.
Sam and Max.
Peter and
That's what I'm
saying.
Sam and Max.
It's Peter and Max,
Yeah.
and it's illustrated by, is it Steve Leialoha or?
Yeah, I think so.
You know what? I didn't even look at it. I was
think
just shocked to see that it was out.
Pretty sure it's Steve Leialoha, and I mean, I've read some excerpts from it, and it looks or it reads incredibly. It is a novel. There are illustrations in the book, but it's like Gaiman's the Dreamcatcher.
However,
So-
I'm wondering, like, he must have been working on this for quite a while. Now that he's finally got that off his plate,
Yes,
I
novels
wonder
tend
if
to-
everything
tend to
else is
require
just
work.
going to explode with him, because I guess he's also
He's
kind
also-
of loosely working with a TV show.
He's doing that, and he's
Fascinating.
also writing JSA. So
Oh, that's
man.
right. He just took that over.
Anyway, Fables is still going strong. It's awesome. I highly recommend
Chris?
it.
And I think I'm up to the 7th graphic novel right now, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm a huge fairy tale person, so
I collect. I mean, I love all the Fable stuff. I collect prints of the initial cover artist, who's James Jean. I have quite a
Who is
few
amazing.
of those.
Who is unto a god as far as art goes.
He's just a creative, endless well of intensity.
Win.
He's amazing. And the new artist is Zhao Rouse. And I was thinking, who could possibly take over for him? But so far, I'm loving his artwork too. It's just so cool.
If you
I'm
like James
definitely
Jean artwork, check out a website called ProcessRecess.com.
Yes.
It's James Jean's art blog, and it is mind-fuckingly gorgeous.
And I would like to mention one thing before we move on from Fables is that Fables starts slow. The first trade paperback is actually, it's kind of a gimmick. It's what if we took fairy tales and put them in the real world? And it's a little murder mystery, and it's cute. The second one, it's almost kind of an adaptation of Animal Farm by George Orwell, and it's cute too. Third, fourth, fifth, it just starts getting better and better and better.
The Mean Season is probably one of my favorite trades of all
Once
time.
you hit March of the Wooden Soldiers, if you're not hooked by them, fine, give it up. But go to a Barnes & Noble, go to a Borders, read it for free. If you're anything like me, you'll want to own them.
Who's got the next one?
I'll go with this one.
Yeah, I think Harris.
One that I think a lot of people would get into and deserves much more of an audience than it currently gets is Northlanders by Brian Wood.
Hell yes! Oh my God, that's a great.
There
book.
is nothing to not like about this. It's a little bit of the old ultraviolence done with Vikings.
Yeah, no, and it's beautiful to look at. The stories are. I mean, it's
the best treatment of Vikings since Beowulf.
It's definitely for people who like stuff like Conan and things like
Yeah,
that. But
and the thing is, it's historically accurate. It's done with an eye towards strict realism.
and it's more character driven than plot driven. The way
Exactly.
Conan was.
You have all sorts of amazing characters in it, like Sven the Immortal. Brian Wood just finished up a 4-issue arc called The Shield Maidens of 4 women.
By the way, I would like all of you to refer to me as Sven the Immortal.
I thought you were going to say
oh,
the
Shield Maiden. Nope, sorry, your name is
Yeah,
now
four
Shield
four
Maiden.
Danish
Oh,
women.
the Shield
Oh, the
Maiden.
Shield Maiden.
I already
Alright.
call him that.
Yeah, there's like four Danish women who are the only people left from their village after Saxons raid it, and now they're coming back.
Fucking Saxons.
And it's just some of the most amazing sword and sorcery minus the sorcery comics out there, and it's by Brian Wood. And check him out.
It's a great
Yeah.
source of some serious Saxon violence. So.
Yeah. When I was still here living with Cyrus, he gave me the first 2 books, and I was blown away.
Along with chlamydia.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. If you like the old hack and slash, way to go.
And it's extremely well done. It's not just like here's a bunch of violence, isn't that cool? It's wow, these are really cool characters and a cool story.
I'm gonna say, if you're anything like me, if you listen to The World on NPR, if you keep up with world politics, if you know dick all about what's going on in Africa, you need to be reading The Fucking Unknown Soldier. Oh my God!
Which I haven't
mean,
read at all, actually.
Yeah,
it is one of the
brutal.
most relentless, brutal comics I have ever read because, I mean, The original Unknown Soldier in the DC universe was a World War II soldier who was horribly disfigured, and he learned how to do makeup tricks, and he would go behind the lines and do sabotage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what this is about.
Through the magic of makeup.
Yes, this is about a African national went to the States, married another African national, became a doctor. He went back, and something has possessed him.
L'Oreal.
It's like basically the ghost of the original Unknown Soldier. They haven't really answered that, but it's like it has turned him into the ultimate fucking soldier. He's in a village in South Africa. He takes a wrong turn and basically gets like nearly hacked to death by child soldiers.
It is all about the genocide going on in the Sudan.
Anything about Africa, the basic message is don't come here.
Yeah. Sounds like that game Far Cry.
To a fucking extent. Well, but it's also, I mean, it is. Not only is it like it is very violent. It is ultra brutal, but it's also really, really exploring the globo-real politic of fucking Africa.
But you know who I feel sorry for?
Nobody is fucking doing it and should be done. And man, it will blow your mind and it will make you feel bad about being a human being. So if you can balance those two, go.
I feel really sorry for the Congolese Department of Tourism.
Hey, is this connected to the Haunted Tank?
Dude, they are so corrupt.
Book?
No, this one's by itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Haunted Tank, it is okay. It takes place during the First Gulf War, and it's worth a read. But the Haunted Tank is flowers, roses, and fucking puppy dogs. I mean, this is like people killing nuns.
Okay.
I mean,
Children doing horrible things to other children.
Children beheading other children.
Okay.
It's like, it's fucking Africa.
Strap yourself in. This is going to be a dark ride.
Yeah, exactly. If you were blanching at the nuns getting shot, then strap yourself in.
If you're
it's
trying
a
to talk
long
me into
fucking
it,
ride.
baby, it's working.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a nunsploitation fan myself. So,
My dick is hard.
Jason, do you have an answer?
Not really. 'Cause, I mean, we've mentioned all the obvious ones, but as Randy's proxy, he wanted me to bring up Unwritten and Sweet Tooth.
Sweet
Yeah.
Tooth.
And
So
Sweet
what's-
Tooth's only actually 2 issues
Yeah,
in.
what's it
I've
about?
only read the first one, but it's telling a tale of a kid that was born with antlers, and his dad dies, I believe, in the first
God,
issue.
his mom must have hated
And
him.
I'm wondering. I don't really know. I don't fully remember if he fucked a deer. I don't know where the kid with the antlers came from.
Yes, because that's how you get kids with antlers.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So this kid has antlers,
good
but
enough for
it's
Zeus.
also kind of like The Village, Shyamalan's.
Yeah.
And it's post-apocalyptic, right?
So it's kind of like The Village, but it's actually good.
No, it sounds more like his dad knew he was born with antlers, and so he holed him up in the woods in a place where he's never allowed to leave certain borders, and then hunters come in past those borders and see him, and they're trying to hunt him because they know he's one of those other odd types of people.
Look,
who has-
kids,
is a kid with antlers.
Here's a little public service message. His dad had hepatitis C. If you catch hepatitis C, your kids will have fucking antlers.
Yeah.
But
So
if you
wear a
do
fucking
grow up with
condom.
antlers, learn to play the pan flute.
I hardly think I did
know,
that any justice.
Make lemonade. That's all I'm saying.
Also, quit fucking deer.
I read the first issue because Randy wouldn't shut up about it, and I was like, okay, well, maybe this will get good at some point because
Yeah.
the first issue didn't really
Yeah.
do anything for me. I was like, okay, it's not that it's bad, it just is what it is.
I thought it was kind of
you know?
cool, but yeah, nothing that really compelled me to read.
I mean,
the
it must
next
build
one.
over time, I guess. I don't know. I haven't read it. I'm
It's-
sure Randy will bug me again. And
It
at
is
some point
definitely weird and unique.
okay.
You know, yeah. So
Not sure why it's called Sweet Tooth. That was lost on me.
Yeah,
Sweet
I don't
Tooth.
know.
Yeah. Kristen, did you have an answer?
Grant and I shared an answer.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that leaves the Masters, the man, the legend.
I don't know why
Leon.
I blanked because like my favorite Vertigo comics
Shade
are
the Changing Man?
no, not so much the weird stuff, more like the crime things, like the seeing the crime and one of Eric Brubaker's early comics.
Ed
I'm-
Brubaker.
Who is
You
the
said
man who would risk his life for the other man?
I'm sorry, that's it, Eric. I meant Ed.
Okay.
Ed Brubaker's early. Got,
I was making sure
it's
there
him-
wasn't another writer. I
No,
didn't
no,
know.
no, no, and it's him working with Mike. God damn it, who's drawing Daredevil?
Mike Grell? No.
No,
Oh,
Ma-
Matsu.
Who drew Daredevil?
No.
This
Master
sucks because this
Chief.
guy lived in Dallas and I used to hang out with him a lot. Anyway,
Michael Lark.
Mike Lark, thank you. Yeah, it was like probably their first collaboration, and that was a great crime comic. But Garth Ennis did this like right around the time he was doing Preacher. In between, it was a book called Pride and Joy. It's something about an Irish crime family. It's like a 5-issue series, and that was pretty good. But
They're going for the control of the potato markets all over Ireland. The bastards.
One of the Vertigo comics that I really like that doesn't come up that often, but is Human Target. Is written by Peter Milligan.
I never read that. Is it actually, Christopher, what's his face, the original Human Target?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
I love, back in the 70s in Brave and Bold, that was like a backup feature, Human Target, and it was awesome. It was this guy who
It was
would
by
basically,
Len Wein.
he was like the anti-assassin.
Len Wein?
He would.
He does Deadpool now. Sorry.
Yeah.
He was the anti-assassin.
Len Wein originally.
Basically, if you were being targeted for assassination, this guy would dress up like you.
Yeah.
Like, to a T. He was a makeup artist and all this shit. And when the guy tried to kill you, he would go and take the guy out. And it was really cool.
And there's actually, what is it, a TV series?
Yeah,
or a
there
movie
was
now?
a short-lived
I think they did one with Rick Springfield.
Well, there's
at one
more
point.
than one. There was a Rick Springfield
Right.
one, but there's a newer one.
Yeah,
The new one hasn't come out yet.
Yeah,
I was gonna say they were working on it.
That's right. We talked about it during the upcoming TV episode.
And then just to really fuck things up, because they decided they can't really have a star of their show and not have him in every episode, instead of imitating like the target, he gets infiltrated into their life. So instead of pretending to be the target, suddenly he's their newest, bestest friend.
Right.
It's
Well,
like
that's not the Human
if
Target
you're
at all.
gonna make a series like this,
Like
just
the human bystander.
fucking cast an unknown.
Yeah.
It will save you money, and you'll be able to stay close to the premise of the film.
the problem is
awesome.
that numbers show that
Yeah.
you're taking a much bigger risk by doing
Well, they
that.
did a
So-
show like that called The Pretender a few years ago.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah, but that was just a guy who could immediately understand the skills, and so he can. I can watch a movie about being a brain surgeon, and all of a sudden I'm a brain surgeon.
right.
Yeah, he was what's that character who does that with Deathstroke or whatever?
Taskmaster.
Taskmaster. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is one of those Vertigo
Deathstroke
series
is
that
far,
it
far
doesn't come
scarier.
out all that often, but every so often, somebody get inspired. And I'm not the biggest Peter Milligan fan, but this is one of those books where he writes that I know that I'm going to read it and I'm going to really enjoy it.
Okay. Fair enough. I've been meaning to check this out actually because ever since we had that episode,
I want to
was
say he's done it like 3, maybe even 4, but I know I've read at least 3 of them.
I will say one more. Check out David Lattman's. I mean, if you're into mind fucks,
Yeah.
check out David Lattman's Young Liars.
Which
I
is
mean,
great.
it's
Lapham.
sex.
Lapham, yeah.
It's sex, drugs, rock and roll, and wait a minute. What the fuck? What's going on? I don't. Oh, okay, now I get it. Oh, wait, now I don't. What the fuck? What's going on? Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
And more David Bowie references than the Venture Brothers.
Yes, and every little chapter has some great musical selections that you should play while you're listening to them. It's fucking awesome.
I gotta
Go
say,
check
bro,
it out.
I loved everything that's encapsulated in the first trade. And as trade paperbacks go, it's one of the cheapest ones. It's such a cheap hide to buy that and get on.
Well, the thing is, Vertigo's big thing right now is this whole indie music thing. And there's a whole bunch of stuff in miniseries they keep putting out. There's the Vinyl Underground. There's a new one about hip hop turntablists. And there's Young Liars that are very much centered in sort of the modern music scenes. And that's really their big thing now. And I think it makes sense. There's a whole new market of people who probably didn't care or know anything about comics who are going to be discovering comics through this sort of thing.
I think you're right.
And I think that's a great idea. I hope it takes off. The stuff I have read, I've really liked so far. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Well, the thing about Vertigo is, of all the different comic lines, they're probably the most genuinely diverse.
And experimental.
I mean, we talk, they do a lot, things that are horror based and crime based.
Vertigo.
But they do so many different things.
Vertigo is doing the same thing that Fantagraphics was doing in the 90s.
Exactly.
Which they're giving expression to a lot of artists that are doing a lot of different things and basically saying, you go do that and we will let you do it.
But they
And
also have a
the fact-
standard. It's like you can do whatever you want, but it's got to be at least this good.
They definitely do have a standard, and I think Fantagraphics did as well.
Yeah.
I definitely believe that. The thing that maybe sets them farther apart is they got DC money to play with. And DC money is fun to fucking play with.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
true.
So,
And that is as good a point as any to end this discussion this time about Vertigo.
Indeed.
I guarantee you we will be talking about Vertigo again at some point in the future.
There's
Girl,
plenty
Vertigo.
we haven't gotten
There's
to.
so many books we could have talked about. We could have talked for probably for another hour about Sandman alone. We certainly could have gone for an hour about Fables.
100 bullets.
Yeah, 100
we
bullets.
we
All
could
sorts
do
of stuff.
a Sandman and Fables episode, and maybe someday if you kids are nice and you flatter our egos enough,
Man, we didn't
we'll
even
do just
mention
that.
Ex Machina.
Yeah,
And
there's-
Grant was the one who
That's-
turned me on
that's
to
why
that.
Machina.
Ex
Oh,
Machina.
sorry, Ex
yeah.
Machina.
Well, there's
sorry.
so many. There are so many great books under this line, and there continue to be new, interesting things that they keep trying. And I hope that we turn some of you guys on to at least a few books to give a try. If you haven't read any of the serious best stuff, the Alan Moore Swamp Thing, Preacher by Garth Ennis, Neil Gaiman's A Sandman, Garth Ennis's run specifically on Hellblazer.
Transmetropolitan.
Transmetropolitan
Which apparently I
by
have
Warren
managed to turn
Ellis.
a number of people onto on this site, and I want to continue to do that. I have yet to find a disappointed customer, so go read it.
These are among just period the greatest comics ever written.
Absolutely.
You know, from anyone. And that's all I got. And you know what? Good night.
Hey, man. Not good night.
Yeah,
Long live the moon.
What?
There's some sort of
We're still
phrase.
doing that old chestnut.
I
Hell
think.
yeah.
I
There's
think we should.
phrase.
I think we should have
Hells yeah.
Keyboard Cat play us out instead.
Fuck the keyboard cat. Man, you guys suck.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Long
Long live the
live
league!